pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Chris, is this on? It's on now,
Yes,
right?
I heard
Okay,
it
so we
go
have to make sure that
thunk.
a couple of pieces. Okay, hi everybody. Welcome to tonight's town board meeting. So before we do public input, approval of the agenda, I need to add onto the agenda, the backhoe bid. Chris is going to talk to us about the backhoe bid. We have a request for filming at the Justice Courts for October 1st. The situation with the court bailiff about advertising for somebody. Chuck's equipment, Chris is going to talk about that, and a support letter for senior living. And I don't know if you want to talk about the water rates. I did get the information, Jeff, from the village. I have it. I sent it to all of you. I don't know if you want to talk about it or add it on or not do that tonight. Okay. Okay, so, yeah, so I sent it to you all.
Yeah.
I have copies of
I
everything.
did print, okay, good.
Okay, so we can, okay.
I would
So,
also like to add the discussion of the proposed middle school consolidation,
okay,
just a brief discussion among the town board
sure.
about how we're going to proceed.
Okay, terrific. Anybody else?
And I'm sorry, is the backhoe Chuck's equipment, is that one conversation?
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, the backhoe is, the backhoe bid that we didn't get it. Chris will explain the backhoe bid, so we have to take action on that. And there's a piece of equipment that Chuck asked for in next year's budget, but Chris found a great opportunity for us to get it now at a discounted rate, and so Chris wants to be able to talk about it tonight. Okay?
Yep, that's fine.
But they are separate conversations, so we have to take action separately. Okay? So everybody okay?
Yep.
Okay, so do I have a motion to accept the agenda as amended? Second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Motion so carried. Okay, public input. I understand, Bill, you need to get out of here, so...
I have a babysitting to get back to.
Okay, but what I need is for you to take this microphone, take it off and use it so the people in the audience and on the TV can hear you.
Okay, and where do I face?
Well, we
Right
want to
there.
sort of be on the camera a little bit, you know, so you can sit if you want, if that's easier for you. We're just trying to make sure...
A leisurely lounging position?
Yeah, we just want to make sure everybody in the audience
Be
can hear,
comfortable.
Okay.
and we want to make sure everybody out in the TV land can hear.
Okay. Is this is appropriate? This is good?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. My printer died as I was going to print my little notes, so I'm reading from the computer. And I address each of you in what I wrote, but I don't know if I did it in the right order, and I'm looking at you here. So Susan, Kitty, Jean, Jeff, and Kevin, thank you for the opportunity to speak this evening and also to get on early. My name is Bill Weinstein. I chair the New Paltz Bicycle and Pedestrian Committee, and the other committee members are from the town: Alan Stout, Clark Peasley, and Jackie Andrews, and from the village, the members are Justin Dates, Matt Flusser, and Judy Mage. I'm here to tell the town board and the New Paltz community about an exciting and important project the committee is launching during the third week of October, which is a survey of residents to learn as much as we can about local attitudes toward community facilities for bicycling and walking. Don't mind if I edit this as I read from it, right? Okay. The survey will take place from Sunday, October 21st through Saturday, October 27th. We spent a lot of time putting the survey together. Justin Dates and Jackie Andrews have been key in that, and Jackie handles data analysis for the college, so she's experienced doing that. Committee members and friends of the committee, because we have people who go to our meetings. They're not appointed members, but everyone is invited to the meetings. And so we have some people who show regularly or on our email list, and they will place the survey boxes at about 15 locations around the town and the village. We're targeting locations at the moment. Some are confirmed and some are not, so I can't say exactly what they are. The town and the village halls. You haven't confirmed yet, but I assume you will. True Value, Starbucks, the bus station, Convenient Deli, Performance Sports and Wellness, My Market, PDQ printers. We haven't spoken to every place yet, but we're pretty confident. Otherwise, I wouldn't have them on the list. The bakery, the bicycle rack, Reno's Pizza, and Ulster Savings. And these are places that we chose because a lot of people show up there. And we didn't have the person power to put survey boxes in every single place we might want to. So, from every direction, we learn about the importance of staying active, physically active, and encouraging physical activity for our children. Walking and biking keep people healthy. And they say it saves on the cost of filling the gas tank. Walking and biking make our nation less dependent on imported oil and diminish the necessity of using carbon as a fuel for getting from one place to another. The good news is that New Paltz is already walking and biking. According to village planner Kurt Lavala, I spoke with him the other day, U.S. Census data disclose that 8.1% of New Paltz residents walk to work. That's the 2010 census. And 5.1% of residents bike to work. And the incredible thing about that is that these are the highest levels in the Hudson Valley. And they are commensurate with levels in Manhattan and the rest of New York City. So, you know, we're there already in a way, even though New Paltz could be much more pedestrian friendly and much more bicycle friendly. And we want to know what people think about that in the survey. So the survey is aimed at finding specific attitudes on the part, or learning about specific attitudes on the part of the already existing user base and the potential user base. We want to know who rides, who bikes, or rather who bikes and who walks. And we also want to know who doesn't, but who'd like to and why they don't. I told my son Harry that I was going to speak to the board tonight, and his immediate response was, it would be nice if kids could bicycle to every school in New Paltz. And he's 7. So, you know, imagine what the 8-year-olds would think. I'd like them to do that, frankly. I imagine you agree with Harry, to greater or lesser extent, that it would be a social and community benefit if kids and adults could bicycle more easily to school and to work, or to walk. With community support, we could move to make New Paltz even easier to bike and walk in. The committee, the Bicycle and Pedestrian Committee, has always enjoyed the support of the town board and also the village board. So I've come to you this evening. Jackie Andrews is speaking to the village trustees more or less right now to ask for your support for the survey effort. Now, you've already given some support. Carol Connolly, and maybe Susan knows about it already, has agreed to photocopy the survey for us. Of course, we'd like to have the survey here in Town Hall, and I think it would be really cool if during that week employees of the town working here could remind people about the survey. Hey, we have this great survey out there, because people walk by survey boxes. You probably have ideas about how to do this. You have your fingers, you know, your tendrils, your octopi arms. I really don't want to get too graphic, you know, in the community. And you might be able to reach out to people, talk it up, go to other organizations that you belong to. It's going to be October 21st through October 27th. If you have questions, suggestions, I'm happy to talk to you about it now or another time.
Great, thank you. We actually have a public hearing on hydrofracking on October 4th, so hopefully the place will be packed and we'll hand out the surveys then.
No, the survey, well, you know, it's about the surveys,
No, October 4th we can give them so they can have the survey.
The part of the ground rules that Jackie has set for us is that the survey needs to be at the box and put in the box. Now, that's an interesting idea about handing them out at a meeting, and maybe that would be a good methodology, but Jackie is the methodologist, you know? So I'm going to get back to you about that. It may be a very good suggestion. In fact, it is a good suggestion, but it may not be what our methodologists methodologizes about.
Okay.
Anything else? Any other questions?
It's a great idea.
Thank you.
Okay,
Bill.
thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thanks,
Thank you.
Okay. Seth, you can't speak unless you brought the paperwork for me to sign.
Oh, I already sent it to you.
You sent it?
I said, I put it next to your door for.
Okay. This is for us to get reimbursed for $13,000? It's all the work is done, it's all, okay.
Come on up. Now, apparently, you passed the test.
Really?
My goal is to be out of here
Entrance
by 1 o'clock this morning.
9, you said? Okay.
Hi, I'm Seth McKee, Duzine Road resident. I'm here as a private citizen. Just to voice support for the Mohawk Preserve's application for a Greenway grant. I saw a presentation recently about the Gateway project, with that Mohawk is working on with the Open Space Institute, and just really excited about the potential to, in effect, bring the ridge down to the community. So many New Paltz residents, like myself, enjoy the ridge. So many more could enjoy the ridge. And I think by the acquisition of this land effectively brings the ridge down within a stone's throw of this community. And so what Mohawk is trying to do through this grant is to do more outreach to neighbors and the community and stakeholders. And I think we'll get a really good discussion going about the potential uses of this site. Tremendous possibilities for agriculture, for cross-country skiing, mountain biking, all the things that we enjoy here. But when you think about where the ridge starts now and where it will start, where the public space will start, we'll come down to the gatehouse. I mean, that is a stone's throw from this community, and I just want to urge the town board to support this grant. It's a modest grant from the state that will go a long way. I'm confident that the preserve will put it to good use. So that's all I wanted to say.
Thank you.
Thank you, Seth.
Al?
Good night. Good evening. Al Wegener. I live very near the historic Mohawk Gatehouse. I'd like to support the town endorsing the application of the Mohawk Preserve for Greenway funding of the Trails Planning Project. But first, I'd like to acknowledge that the Mohawk Preserve has been very helpful to the Shonga Mountains Regional Partnership. This is an unincorporated organization of the 11 municipalities participating in the Shonga Mountains Scenic Byway. The preserve has been one of our fiscal administrators, which has helped us utilize funding from various federal and state sources. So we could, for example, do the corridor management plan, which resulted in New York State designation of the byway. In my role as executive director and project manager, I have received compensation for my work from these funders through the Mohawk Preserve, but not with Mohawk Preserve funds. Tonight I represent myself, my wife Julie, and my dog Willie. Living near the foothills, we hike the area on an almost daily basis and care greatly about the historic gatehouse and the lands around it. We're certainly not against the overall goals of the preserve for this land, but we care about how these goals are achieved, like what effect the use of the trails by visitors will have on the historic aesthetic of the gatehouse and the lands around it. And it's one thing to accommodate many people on trails going through the mountains in mostly forested land. It's another thing entirely to try to hide people from each other on a road going through mostly hayfields. And how will we route people from a parking area, hopefully not on the great lawn of the gatehouse or along Butterville Road, to where they can enjoy the experience of hiking many of them have driven miles to come here and enjoy? These are just a few of the questions that come to mind. Now, to answer these in a creative and informed manner, with consideration of the views of the many interested people, is going to take expertise. And with local input to a plan and local review of the plan by folks who know the area. All this takes time and it takes money. So I ask you please to endorse this application for Greenway funding of this important but complicated planning project. Thank you very much.
Thanks.
Thanks, Sam.
Al, you'll be here you staying for a little bit?
Yeah.
Okay, good, because I was going to mention during the announcements about the $1 million that you got, so,
Okay.
okay.
I'll stay.
So stay. Okay, next. Please come up because we need you to use the microphone. Just introduce yourself.
Good evening. My name is Frederick Gertie. Thank you for listening to me today. As I drove in today, I saw the harvest moon rising over the east, a glorious sunset behind us, behind the mountains on the west. There were geese grazing on the flats out there. I'm really reminded what a beautiful place this is and how fortunate those of us who live and work here are. And I got in here and picked up the brochure, and really it says it all. It's beautiful here. And I think that's the truth. That's what we all kind of recognize. But the beauty is not going to maintain itself. We really need some support and some help. And I think the board now has an opportunity to help make sure that it stayed beautiful here by supporting the application of Mohonk Preserve for a grant. And just consider an alternative, that iconic view out there, Butterville Road and 299. If that hayfield was no longer mowed, inside of 5 years it'd be a brush lot. Inside of 10 years it'd be trees growing up there. In 20 years that view would be gone. Yeah, trees are nice to look at, but I think this magnificent view really is what attracts a lot of people to come here. People who buy apples and cider, they buy pumpkins, they stop in town and they buy meals. Some of them stay in the lodging. They enjoy walking on Water Street, checking out the shops in town, and they're really a great asset to the town. And that asset is the beautiful natural resources that we have here. So any encouragement we can give to Mohonk Preserve to obtain the land, to manage that, they've got a management plan going there. They'll keep the agriculture going. They'll keep those views going. They'll keep those fields open. And I think the town board can help Mohonk Preserve ensure that it will continue to be beautiful here.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Hello, I'm Lynn Bowdery, and I'm here this evening representing the Wallkill Valley Rail Trail Association. We are very excited about the fact that the application narrative mentions the possibility of linking the rail trail with the trails of the Mohonk Preserve. And anything that helps that process along, interlinked trails are just a wonderful thing, and they add so much richness to a trail experience. There are people out there who visit this area to use the Wallkill Valley Rail Trail. Think how much more of a week's vacation they could spend in this area, just exploring not only the rail trail, but its linkages to both the walkway eventually, through the linkages proposed to the Hudson Valley Rail Trail, and our own Mohonk Preserve with its miles and miles of glorious carriage roads extending even unto Minnewaska and Sam's Point. So this is tremendously exciting, and I hope you will support their Greenway application to help this along inch by inch and row by row. Thank you.
Mike, would you like to come up?
Good evening, everybody. I'm Mike Smith from the New Paltz Regional Chamber of Commerce, not too far from the preserve, and also just to lend the support on behalf of the Chamber and our membership for the Greenway application for the Mohonk Preserve. And in it, not only with, it's really comes down to preserving the preserve and the foothills and all that goes along with it, as the previous people have said here. This is very vital, not just to local people that live right around here, but to preserve what's there. And what other better office and agency can you ask for to help not only the historical aspect, but to maintain it, to help with the environment, to really preserve it as green for the Greenway application. It just seems to make a lot of sense, and they have the staff and the capability in doing that. And we're really appreciative and supportive of this entire application, and really support the board to go ahead with their full support with it. And we thank you for this opportunity.
Thank you, Mike.
Anybody else want to speak?
My name is Richard Gottlieb, and for full disclosure, I'd have to say that I own an outdoor store that
No.
has thrived
To learn that.
for 42 years
Wow.
on many people visiting the Mohonk Preserve. I also would have to admit that I am an outdooraholic. So, and as is my family, and almost maybe all of my friends, whether they climb or not. From what I understand, half the residents, full-time residents of New Paltz, are members of the Mohonk Preserve. There is a long history of tourism in this area, and as New York comes to realize that suddenly tourism is now the second largest and maybe fastest growing industry in New York, I think that the Smileys and subsequently with the defeat of Marriott, and then this is a most recent chapter of which I've left many other chapters out. These have been bold and amazing steps that have anticipated where this is going. And where it is going is so good, not just for the community, but for the businesses in this community. And where businesses go, community goes. When the businesses die, the community dies. And, I can't help but think that there's a devil's bargain often made in places. I think of Orlando. Maybe they have a very low tax base because of MGM and Disney World. But what do the residents think? How many times can they go to these places? Well, if you want to know how many times I've been to the Mohonk Preserve, Minnewaska State Park, I couldn't count them. I'd be here for days and days, and my family as well. We get so much pleasure out of it. And now to think, I think of Anita Bryant and that great campaign, Orange Juice. It's not just for breakfast anymore. Well, the Mohonk Preserve, now it's for lunch too. And this Greenway application should be considered, and meeting our future halfway rather than trying to beat our future back, this inevitable future and this wonderful future, I think should be, thought about very carefully. So thank you.
Thank you,
Anybody else would like to speak? Anybody else? Public input before we close public input? Okay. Announcements. Okay. I guess the first announcement, I'll do Al's announcement since Al is here. The Scenic Byways, under Al's leadership, got $1 million.
Wow.
$1 million grant for the overlooks, for 3 overlooks, 2 going up over 4455 and 1 over in the Ellenville-Warsing area. And what they're going to be doing is fixing the overlook areas where they're going to be doing sidewalks, plantings, kiosks with and the retaining wall. It's a phenomenal project. It's really exciting, and I just wanted to announce how exciting it is that the Greenway, that the Shangam Scenic Byway got that $1 million grant. So congratulations, Al. The other announcement, the rabies clinic, October 3rd, Wednesday from 4 to 6 at the Highway Garage is going to be a rabies clinic, so bring your cats, please, and your dogs. Mm-hmm. Cats and dogs, Highway Garage, 4 to 6, rabies clinic, sponsored by our town clerk. And then, just for the record, there's some things I do for the record. Everyone knows that we had gotten our controller's report, and I had 30 days as the supervisor to respond. The board members all got it, but I want to just give it for the record, so if the public wants to see the response on behalf of the town board to the controller, that's a copy, and this copy is here if anybody should want it. Okay, so does anybody else have any announcements that they want to make? Anybody else? Anything happening in the community, Jeff?
One of the big things happening in the community is actually the turkey trot for Thanksgiving is here sooner than we could think. We have about 8 weeks till it, and they're currently putting together a list of volunteers. So anyone interested in volunteering for the turkey trot, you can go either to the website for the turkey trot or go on to Facebook, onto the New Paltz page, and there is information there on it.
Okay, great, thanks.
And the celebration of the arts has returned to Hasbrook Park. That will be Saturday, October 6th, a day-long extravaganza of performing, visual, musical, and theater arts at Hasbrook Park, sponsored by CODA Celebration of the Arts.
Okay, great. So now we're going to get into the meeting. The first thing up was I was asked if we could do the historic preservation presentation, but I gather everybody's going to sit here and wait until we do the Greenway grant. So, you know what? I'm going to make you all stay hostage so you can all watch the. So I'm going to do the historic preservation.
Thank you, Susie. This
You might as well have an audience, right?
This is a good segue, anyway. Believe me. Some of you may want to come around to view it. This is the video, promotional video of the online interactive historic map of New Paltz that we have done with Creo. The town of New Paltz
We're
historic
probably going to want to. Where are you going to show it? Here or there?
Oh, no,
Right here.
Right here.
Oh,
On the TV.
all right.
It's
Use the mic.
Can I sit in your lap?
Turn the microphone over towards you.
Ready?
So,
He's out.
and
Can you use the microphone so the audience can hear, and then also the TV cameras?
I'm not going to say anything. I'm done. I'm done saying.
Well, why don't you introduce Josh once more?
Okay.
Just
Okay, that's it. Josh Simons is from Creo. He's the project manager. We also have Helen Christie and Carol Sobel and Dave Gilmore from the commission here. And I'm the chair of the commission. So I want to, without further ado, I want to start the video, and it'll be so good.
get the lights.
You get this. Jeff will get it.
New Paltz is a vibrant community in the Hudson Valley with a rich and colorful history. It was settled by French Huguenots in 1677 in an area that had long been the home of the local Lenape tribe.
When you meet a Lefevre at the historic
What's that?
Huguenot
Some
Street,
old woman.
or you meet an Elton, or you meet a Du Bois, they're probably here because their family has been here for hundreds and hundreds of years.
The fertile banks and lazy beds of the Wallkill River and the view of the Shawano Bridge above made New Paltz an enticing place to call home.
A lot of the architecture of the buildings that were built, the homes that were created by the settlers and early settlers and people right up to today reflect this legacy. It's an interesting mix of cultures and diversity that really gives New Paltz a unique aspect.
Most people know and understand and appreciate about the old stone houses, but don't really realize the diversity of historical periods and historic buildings, historic resources that are out there. So it's really valuable to have a full picture of what's there up into the 20th century.
It was in the context of the rich and diverse history of New Paltz that a 2003 certified local government grant from the New York State Historic Preservation Office was awarded to identify and assess historic resources in the village and town. Intensive data was collected on 7 areas: the Huguenot Street area, the Millbrook area, the Middletown area, the Bontecoup area, the North Ohioville Road area, the Butterville Road area, and the Wallkill South End area.
Historic Preservation Commission aims at preserving, through creation of landmarks and historic districts, preserving this so that we can share it with the community.
Under the guidance of Chairman John Orpitelli, the New Paltz Historic Preservation Commission sought to digitize the data in a format that would offer an interactive and accessible experience for people to research properties in New Paltz.
Basically, we were asked to take over 1,775 properties and basically tell a story for each one.
It has really been such a pleasure working with the Historic Preservation Commission. They have shown such initiative and passion for this project, and they've done it all. They've written the grants, they've made all the connections with the State Historic Preservation Commission. They worked with CREO to set up this whole project, and I guess that's what really the spirit of volunteering in your community is all about.
The Center for Research, Regional Education and Outreach at SUNY New Paltz was well situated to make this idea a reality. CREO is a department of the college which conducts studies on topics of regional interest, brings visibility and focus to these matters, fosters communities working together to better serve the citizenry, and advances the public interest in the region.
We don't have to remind New Paltz of its history. New Paltz is very aware of its history and the importance of its history, both regionally and statewide and nationally. What we can do is make the history accessible in a different way.
CREO coordinated with the Historic Preservation Commission to create the online interactive mapping application and a framework for its administration. As a part of this project, the data from the Larson & Associates project was converted into an online database.
It's bringing new tools to bear to consider something that's already regarded as important across a range of constituencies.
This project was made possible by grants from the New York State Historic Preservation Office Certified Local Governments Program. Each federal fiscal year, New York State sets aside 10% of the state's allocation of federal historic preservation funds for pass-through to certified local governments. New Paltz has applied for and received several of these grants, which have facilitated the creation of the site, the interactive timeline, and most recently, the production of this video.
Digitizing historic information presents a couple of major benefits. I think the first and most obvious one is accessibility to the public.
Homeowners can easily discover the basic facts of the history of their property and their building.
You don't have to be an historian. You don't have to be a scholar to really appreciate the excitement of the history of our town.
The new digital map website, which was created by the town of New Paltz, is a wonderful resource. It is based upon the Google-style pin map technology, and essentially what it does is give users of the web an opportunity to see a deep digital archive of the town and the village of New Paltz.
The next section of this video is a step-by-step tutorial on how to access and make the most of this online database, beginning with the interactive map. The main map on the site shows all the hamlets within the town of New Paltz and their locations relative to one another. Additionally, brief histories of each of the hamlets in New Paltz are available from the Hamlets drop-down menu on the menu bar. In order to present the information on the site in a more user-friendly manner, the map is broken down into individual hamlets as not to overwhelm the user with too many points all at once. The hamlets are typically defined as communities that are drawn together by a common place. Since the only thing that defines a hamlet that also has distinct boundaries are the school districts, the borders to each of these hamlets were drawn using an 1875 map of the town of New Paltz that also showed the school district boundaries. This map was digitized and reoriented north so that it could be overlaid on the Google Maps interface. Due to the limitations of accuracy in mapping in 1875, the historic map and the satellite projections do not align perfectly, though care was taken to make the lines as accurate as possible. High-resolution and low-resolution versions of the 1875 map are available for download in the download section of this site. To view the properties of historic significance within a particular hamlet, simply click on the desired hamlet, and the page with a detailed map of that hamlet will open. This map focuses specifically on the properties within that area. For example, when choosing Buttermilk, several pinpoints appear on the map, allowing you to locate all the historic properties within the hamlet. Each pinpoint is either color-coded or has an icon associated with the property type. The icons indicate if the property is a school, a church, or cemetery. The color-coded pinpoints are green for a wood-framed house, blue for a stone house, red for a brick house, yellow for a state, local, or nationally designated landmark, and white, indicating that the structure was built after 1929. 1929 was used as a cutoff point for the project. Structures built after 1929 are included in the map, as they were also included in the Larson and Associates Reconnaissance Survey, but detailed information on these properties is not included at this time. If you have further information you would like to submit on a certain property, or even a new property, you can do so by clicking the Contact tab located at the top of the page. For example, you can submit photographs, corrections, and other new information about the property, allowing you to become a part of the historic preservation process. The Contact form offers an easy way for you to interact with the Historic Preservation Commission and to submit your ideas and information as well. Upon submitting the Contact form, you will be contacted with a follow-up from a member of the Commission. When clicking on these pinpoints, some basic information about the property is displayed, along with a link entitled Read More. This link will automatically direct you to a page dedicated to that particular property. The scroll bar to the left allows you to zoom in and get a closer look, while the legend on the right specifies the building material, local designation, and if the property was a school, church, or cemetery. Located at the bottom left of the screen, you can find the search bar. The search bar is a powerful tool for finding information on the site. It is designed to search all of the information on the site. So in addition to being able to look up individual properties by name or address, it allows you to search for anything. For example, if you wanted to find information on the gatehouse, you can type that directly into the search bar, and the results will have the page for the gatehouse. If you wanted to look for every property where the information includes a family name, you could do that as well. Let's use the family name Hasbrook, for instance. As you can see, the search tool is a powerful method of finding information. With it, you can search for anything from building materials, locations, dates, people, and everything in between.
When you think about New Paltz, you automatically go to the college. What a lot of people don't realize that there's a lot of other stories in this town that extend beyond Old Main and the Quad.
Students who live here for 4 or 5 or 6 years only casually attend to the history of the community, and it may be a little easier for them to pay attention if we call their attention to this through the use of technology, like the technology and website we've developed.
Anyone with internet access and a little bit of time can access an archive of material without having to go into that archive, without having to learn how to use that archive. It's really a very significant outreach effort, and it wouldn't be possible without the town's creation of this site, but the village is hoping to enrich and deepen that experience by adding historical summaries, and we hope some visual information as well.
For the past 10 years, almost every year we've had grants accepted, and grant money has been used to fund a whole variety of
work. The data that was collected through Neil Larson and his group, the interactive online map project, and even this video has been funded through matching grants provided by the State Historic Preservation Office. Without that grant money, none of what we have done over the past 10 years could have been done.
We need to engage the public more and more into this, and it is as much an outreach project as it is a municipal planning project. It's important to get people aware of what's out there, what's historic, and articulate things so that they begin to understand them better and appreciate them more. Really, the only way preservation works locally is if there's a real consensus.
New Paltz is known for its Stonehouse Day, its Huguenot Street, etc. And whatever old buildings we still have, we should keep in the way they were.
It should be a community effort where people see the value of things, and when that community effort takes hold, it more than outweighs the individual here and there who doesn't want anybody to know anything about their building or
Some folks, like I said, they buy an old farmhouse and they want to rehab it. Well, once you rehab it, it's not an old farmhouse. So this protects the old farmhouse to stay as it is.
Well, I hope that this project will encourage and inspire people to get more involved. You can join the Historic Preservation Commission. You can communicate with them through the website. If you know a fascinating historic fact, I mean, this is a community where we just learned that there was a burial ground for slaves on historic Huguenot Street. We have so much to learn about our community. So I just am so happy that we finally have a way for people to give some oral history that we can add to our database and really come to a better understanding of who we are.
For more information, you can visit the online interactive mapping website at hpc.townofnewpaltz.com.
Good job.
And I'd like to thank Josh Simon and Neil
Larson.
And the commission to support in helping us with this. Since Mohawk is here and you're going to be talking about this, one of the things we're talking about is working with Mohawk Preserve to define the preserve on the map and add information not only to properties. There's, I think, 5 farms that are in that preserve area that was just purchased, but add ecological data, data that is not property oriented but about the ecology and features, describe features within that space. So the map and the application can be used in a lot of different ways. And so one of the things we're talking about is expanding it to embrace the Mohawk Preserve area so that people can go in and investigate what is there in all of its richness and beauty. And so I thank you, and thank you very much.
expect every other town board member to have a video done for the committees that they represent. Good, glad you were on the committee, Kitty.
This is like 2 years boiled down, 2 years just on this project in what, 15 minutes? I mean, the behind-the-scenes work on this project was just heroic. You guys did a fabulous job.
Okay, so Helen, you want to say something?
Yeah, I just wanted to mention
Can you use a?
No.
Okay, not Helen.
The music you heard in the background was composed for this video by Josh and his father.
Right.
Played by Josh, and it's called.
At the end credits there, I composed that specifically.
It was beautiful. I was actually.
It's called New Paltz, Old Paltz.
Oh, I was listening to the music. It was beautiful.
The other ones are stuff that my dad wrote when he started dating my mom when my sister was born. And then there's a little interlude that he likes to mess around with. And I called him up when we realized we hadn't budgeted anything for music. To use it in this context, you typically have to pay for it. I said, Dad, I don't know what to do. I just want to play some music for this. I play all those old songs that you taught me when I was a kid. It would be all right if I just went into the studio and recorded them for this project. He said, yeah, do whatever you want. That's cool. They're yours as much as they're mine. So, so I gave him some credit on that. And I'm sure the royalties with it will, or something.
Well, I just want you to know, I did notice the music, and I was listening to it, and it was really, really beautiful music.
I try to put something of myself in all the work. It's not so easy with public policy research, but every once in a while you get to do something creative. It's hard with a jail study. I try not to put too much of myself in.
Bye.
Thank you so much for the opportunity. Unfortunately, my band's going to be playing a gig in about 20 minutes, and I got to go set up the...
Goodbye.
Okay.
So once again, I'd just like to recognize the members of the Historic Preservation Commission. John Orfatelli is the chair, Helen Christie, and Karen Sobel, and Dave Gilmore, and we are missing Kathleen Interante, but they're just an incredibly hardworking volunteer committee, and thank you for all your work.
Okay, so moving on, I think we'll move the preserve to the end of the meeting. So next we'll do, no, we'll do. Okay, so anyway, would somebody like to move, we're being asked to do a support letter through the town on behalf of Mohawk Preserve for their greenway. Now, you actually didn't draft the letter for us, did you?
We did, yes.
Okay, but we didn't get it, did we?
Yes, you
We
did.
got it
I brought an extra copy.
a week ago.
Okay.
Yeah.
It's not in my agenda. I sent it out to all of you.
I don't know if we got it by email, but I know it was, I think I handed it to you when I was at the Historic Preservation meeting last
No, you
week.
just spurred up a little piece of paper that said Historic Preservation and Greenway, and I said Greenway was already scheduled.
Oh, okay, okay.
The actual letter.
Whoa. Phew. Yeah. Just don't strap me down here.
Here's a copy of the draft letter.
Okay.
Thanks very much for taking this opportunity. Let me just say a few words
Sure,
about
God,
what
please.
Great.
Yeah, just use the microphone.
I'm Glenn Hoagland, Executive Director of the Mohonk Preserve, and I want to also thank you for the time you invested back in July when we were last here for a state OPRHP grant, which you were kind enough to review and unanimously approve our endorsement to go forward to pursue that grant. And we, of course, haven't heard about that grant yet. We hope to hear by mid-late November. But we're continuing the process of engaging the public, to the more detailed level as we move forward. And the next step is we've applied for this Greenway grant, which is $7,500, matched by the Preserve through our own in-kind contribution of staff time to engage Taconic site design and landscape architecture to do what we're calling the Foothills Trail Connectivity Planning Project. And it's a continuation of the larger framework of the land asset management plan that you've all seen and that we talked about last time. And this Greenway grant will move us one step further towards defining those trail connections to and from the ridge, across the ridge, hopefully to the village via 299 or the farmlands, and also help us deal with some of the issues we've talked about back in May with you, such as access from the end of Pine Road and issues like that. And it will be the beginning. It's not enough money to really launch a more detailed design of the trailhead that we hope to be able to install, that would be for that controlled, managed access to the south of the Testimonial Gateway in the edge of the woods there, that would incorporate the Testimonial Gateway into a new trailhead while respecting its historic architecture. But we do actually want to come back to you, just so that I let you know where we are sequencing. We'd like to come back to you in November because there is a December grant deadline to apply for the New York State Conservation Partnership funding, which would give us more planning money to then take what we learn from the trail planning initiative and dovetail that with some ongoing planning. All of this designed, to get us to more detail, to engage the public, to work with the neighbors, to bring back something more concrete to you over really the 3 years that we are working with the Open Space Conservancy that owns the property. Since we last met with you in July, we actually have entered into a contract to purchase the 534 acres from the Open Space Institute. And Bob Vandenberg from the Open Space Conservancy, Open Space Institute, is here tonight. I'd also mention that Ron Knapp, the Preserve's board president, is here tonight. Norman Goluskin from our board of directors are here with me and can comment. And so we have entered into the contract to purchase over 3 years the 534 acres, so about 3/5 of the property that OSC bought from the Smileys will be buying, which is the Testimonial Gateway, the Humpo Marsh, and the Kleinikill Farm up on the mountain. OSI will be retaining the Brook Farm and Pine Farm area. And so our work is really focused on that trail connection from the Testimonial Gateway to the ridge. And we will retain a right of access for the preserve and our public over the Lenape Lane, which will stay on the OSI property. And of course, Pine Road is still a public road, and we're glad to continue that discussion with you if and when you're ready. So just for your information, I brought just kind of a chronology of what the preserve has done to engage the public since the first of the year. We've had about 8 different opportunities, this being one of them. And just last week, we were really glad to work with and really applaud the work that John and his team on the Historic Preservation Commission are doing. We're really excited to be working with them. We're continuing to meet with them to provide documentation and to go deeper into how we can first stabilize the Testimonial Gateway, which is deteriorating and has some water penetration problems, and then really landmark it and work to incorporate it appropriately into some sort of arrival sequence for the general public, and to work with. The Smileys there are 17 different cellar holes that we've documented so far on this property. And so we're really looking forward to working, with the Historic Preservation Commission on documenting all of those elements, whether it's the stone walls or the old cellar holes or the elements of the old Catskill Aqueduct, which are still there in the landscape from when it was built. So that's really a really exciting part of this project as well. And so glad to answer any of your questions about the grant proposal for which we're seeking your endorsement, or anything related to our continuing planning.
Anybody have any questions or anything? Would you like me to read you quickly the letter that I'm being asked to send on behalf of? Okay, so I'll just read it very quickly. Read the Mohawk Preserve Foothill Trail Connectivity Planning Project. Dear Ms. Griffin, this letter is to support the application by the Mohawk Preserve to the Greenway Conservancy for the Hudson River Valley for the funding for the Mohawk Preserve Foothills Trails Connectivity Planning Project. This project supports the town of Newport's open space plan that has identified the Mohawk Preserve foothill lands as a top priority for the protection in the town, and recognizes that such lands, when available for recreational, heritage, and agricultural tourism, provide an economic return on investment. The project will also allow for linkage between the Newports, the Wallkill Valley Rail Trail, and the lands of the Mohawk Preserve through the historic Carriage Road Network and Testimonial Gateway off Route 299, part of a state-designated scenic byway. The Preserve has expressed their commitment to continuing public participation throughout the planning process and to work closely and collaboratively with the town board and relevant committees to ensure the activities envisioned by the plan are consistent with the relevant town plans and laws. In summary, the town of New Paltz believes this project will create a plan for creating a comprehensive and connected trail network leading to a greater tourist visitation, local expenditures, It will also enhance the quality of life for New Paltz residents by providing improved recreational and educational access to the Mohonk Preserve foothills. Thank you for consideration of funding this important project. Sincerely, me. So anyway, so for purposes of discussion, would somebody like to move the town sending this letter?
I move that the town authorize Susan Zimick as supervisor to sign the letter to the Greenway Partnership.
Would somebody like to second?
Second.
Okay, any discussion?
For purposes of disclosure, I am a trustee of the Greenway Conservancy who will be reviewing this grant, so I'm going to have to recuse myself from either one of these votes. So I'm going to vote for this tonight, and I will recuse myself for voting on this when it comes before the Greenway on October 16th.
Are you recusing yourself tonight?
I'm not recusing myself tonight. I have to recuse from...
yourself on the other end.
Well, I was going to say, why don't you recuse yourself on this end and vote on the Greenway grant?
Because it's coming from the town board, and I have no doubt whatsoever that the other members of the Conservancy will support this.
Okay. So we have a motion, we have a second, any more discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Okay, motion's so carried.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
When do you need this by? Can we get it to you like Monday or Tuesday?
No problem at all. We don't need
just
it
'cause
till
we're sort of
the
working
end
on
of
the
the month.
budget.
It's fine.
Okay, great.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank
Thank you.
So we'll go 30 seconds for the Historic Preservation Committee. Nobody wants to stand and listen to us talk about solar? Or land that we're taking for a water system? Or anything else?
How about
A lot
that?
of other interesting things.
You say solar?
Yeah.
Solar.
We were the first business in downtown. Solar.
Night, Karen. Night, Helen.
Thank you so much. And we're excited that you're the other end of it. Sorry? We have the other end of it. Small swamp there, so it's exciting coming at that.
It is, it's true. No, thank you so much.
Okay, so we'll just wait for it to quiet down a second. Everybody leave. Bye. Okay, let's move it along. Okay, so what we have next is, if you remember correctly, last week we had a presentation by Jeff and Kevin on the going up to the town of Esopus, looking at their solar energy initiative. We had Randall Horner come and speak to us about it, and he did get us his request for proposal. He is tonight over at the village, talking to the village about joining in on this. They have made contact with the school district, and hopefully maybe there'll be a presentation on October 3rd. Can you just shut the door? Having a party. Hopefully at the October 3rd meeting, the school district will consider this also, but the town was considering taking action tonight, so what I'll do is turn it over to Kevin and Jeff and go from there. Kevin, Jeff, anything? Want to say anything?
Take what?
Oh, this is going to be your committee movie, right?
We found out who played Kitty Brown in the movie.
Wait.
I'm going for a bigger name.
Yeah, that was some old woman. I don't know where they found her. We need to Photoshop her out of there.
Well, I'm getting hopefully Peter Dinklage for my next environmental commercial.
Did everybody get a chance to read his request for proposal?
Yes.
Jean?
Yes, I read it. It's not at all what I expected.
Okay, so how do you feel?
How I feel is that I thought it would be, his proposal would be the meat and potatoes of what he was going to ask people to propose.
Okay, so maybe I could try to help.
Maybe you should.
Explain this a little bit more. This is the most early part of this process, really early on.
Okay.
So basically what he's asking us to do is to allow him to solicit from a third party or a series of third party vendors a proposal which then we would consider. We could at that point consider either moving forward or not, but this is just a preliminary phase.
Okay, but, so, let's say 6 people send in a proposal. All right, but the aspects of the proposal are not outlined. So when we're considering the proposals, we may not be comparing apples to apples.
My understanding would be that the proposals themselves would be very specific. And then those proposals would lead to a more formal document or an agreement. And it's kind of a complicated scenario because we have a contract with someone to build and operate for us, right?
Yes.
And then we have an agreement with them to pay them for the use of electricity. And then the third-party vendor has to have an agreement with Central Hudson to feed the power into the grid. So this is just the very beginning. We're allowing him to go ahead and see if we can reserve a space in the queue for an opportunity to participate in a solar project. We're not making any commitment to anybody right at this point in time. Nobody. But those funds are going to be, we're going to be locked out of the opportunity to have these proposals presented to us if we don't give him a commitment from us to allow him to go and solicit bids on our behalf. Because if you can recall, he said the model changed a little bit. Previously, these companies could go ahead and solicit or present proposals even if they didn't have the relevant aggregate usage from municipalities. So you might have a commitment from, let's say, the town, but not the village and the school in another community. And so maybe you have a commitment for a third of your total power usage. They could get away with that before, but they can't now. They have to have a commitment for the actual power that will be used by the municipality. So I don't even think we have to pass a resolution, to be honest with you.
Well, I do think we have to authorize Randall to
a motion
to send this out. I think what's different for people like Jean and me and other old timers who are used to looking at RFPs is that they're usually so specific. They're saying, we want you to bid on this excavation with this equipment and have it done in this amount of time and
the
everybody,
materials you'll use.
Exactly. And this is a different animal for us because we're basically saying we have no idea what kind of materials or photovoltaic or what you're going to bring to the table, but whatever it is, that's up to you. We just want to know that you're guaranteeing that you will provide the total megawatts that we need, and we don't really need to know how it's going to look or what it's going to be made out of.
Well, now, that is part of it, and the other thing, on October 9th is when he hopes to have all the bidders. There will be a very small amount of responsible bidders for this project, for any of these projects. There's maybe, what do we say? I mean, 6 who might bid. He's hoping to get maybe 4 of them to actually come and give really concrete bids. What they're going to prepare then will speak to, and Gene, I know what you're saying too, because I was expecting a lot more detail too. And then in talking to Randolph, what it is the site is going to dictate some of it. So there are 2 different, so even our site is going to have 2 different considerations. There's using the actual landfill itself, which is very small compared to the property around it. So they're going to look both at the landfill, which would not be the preferred site, and then the area at the landfill where there is solid ground. So that actually changes a lot of the equipment that's going to be needed. It's going to change the actual structure that's going to be put in. So part of the RFP is going to be partially written by what our site conditions dictate, and without us having to go out and hire an engineer and go and engineer for us, these companies will do the engineering for us. From the site visit, we're going to get a unified RFP then. We will have one RFP because these companies also, it's a very niche markets still.
Right, it is after the site visit, I see that.
They will be
now.
able to say, okay, we are all, and then they will all be giving the same presentation. They will all know the exact equipment. This is not something you can go to Lowe's and Home Depot and True Value and get a different product. There's really only one product made for these applications.
Okay,
And we
so
will
November
be-
2nd, I'll see what I'm looking for.
October 9th is when they're going to visit.
They're coming in, we're gonna have a conference.
Yes,
And
but the RFPs will be
Will be-
available to me on
Yes,
November 2nd.
November 2nd.
And the board will have to vote on November 5th.
We will have a concrete
Okay, I'm comfortable with
exact
that.
on November 2nd.
All righty.
Okay, so would somebody like to make a motion to authorize Randolph Horner to, on behalf of the town of New Paltz, to
Select a photovoltaic electric system provider to install up to a 2-megawatt solar farm on property owned by the town of New Paltz, located on Route 32 North.
would you like to move that?
Yes, I would.
Wait. Is that what we want to do? Do we want to appoint Randolph Horner to make this selection?
No.
Is that, I thought you said to select. I'm
No.
very relieved, okay. Whew.
Okay, Jeff, would you like to second?
Okay.
I'll second that.
Okay, is there any discussion?
And from this point forward, you're all more than welcome to use the word PV instead of
Photovoltaic? Whoa, I feel so solar.
Okay, so all in favor?
Aye.
Okay, motion so carried. This is exciting. Hopefully, we'll get this going. Okay, next on the agenda is acceptance of the tax foreclosure properties. If you guys remember way back, it was back in May, believe it or not, that there were 2 properties that were being put up for foreclosure, that the county was putting up for foreclosure, and there was an opportunity for these properties for the town to take them and add it to all the other properties we're sort of acquiring for the purposes of potentially a water system. And as our water rates get increased more and more, we might be more aggressive in getting the system, I don't know. But anyway, so we did actually on April 4th pass a resolution asking the county of Ulster to remove the properties from the public auction, and it was a tax sale identified as parcel 52 and 53, and what was owed was $6,158.94 and $6,145.17 in back taxes, and we have 30 lands already donated for a water system, and this would add to it. So we authorized spending $13,000 to purchase this property from a tax sale. 2 parcels. And what we did was we authorized Kevin to do the research to make sure there was clear title before we moved forward. And so Kevin has worked on it. I'll turn it over to Kevin. And
I've done the research on it. I've had a discussion with Jim Bacon, who was an attorney that's represented one of the parties to this transaction. And he did provide assistance to me in identifying and resolving certain factual issues with respect to title. I'm satisfied with title, and I'd like to move that the town go ahead and acquire tax parcel number 87.9-2-14 and 87.9-2-13 located in the town of New Paltz. And I previously pointed out those 2 parcels to you on the map over there, and they're very, very close to and even adjacent to property that we have acquired and do own.
so the only thing, Gene, we are going to, if we authorize tonight that we're going to actually purchase them, for the cost of $6,158.94 for 1 parcel, which is 87.9-2-13 is $6,158.94, and parcel 87.9-2-14 is through is for $6,145.17 in back taxes. So usually, Gene, like to authorize what line we're going to take it from when we do this, or do you want to?
Where is this? Is this Sewer 6?
No, it's not Sewer 6. I mean, the land is out by there. It's not good.
It's really can be used as a potential water source for us, so I don't know where you want to put that in.
Could split it between the 4 waters?
Well, then the residents have to pay for it.
I mean, wouldn't this be like a town
It'll hopefully be
infrastructure?
town infrastructure.
This would be town, because the water source that
We're hoping to.
we bought, just so you know,
Charge
Gene,
it to the
we bought property out there before, but it was for a lot less money, it was for a couple thousand, and that came out of,
Do you remember what line?
yeah.
Yeah, you would call it that.
I would call it what?
Infrastructure.
Oh, the planning infrastructure line, that was
Yeah.
$340,000, and Gene and I were trying to figure out what that was. And then another $75,000 we were trying to figure out. Then we learned it was all police renovation. Yeah.
No.
I'm very serious. No, I'm very serious.
I don't.
But there is money in that line.
You know what,
Things that he doesn't care
Jeff
about.
is gonna pull out a report.
But actually, there is, I think, $40,000 in the planning infrastructure line for this year that I think we saw, remember? Because we reduced it down. Well, take it out of there. That 40,000 is real. The line is real, it's developed, it's
I
there.
don't have the right budget with me.
It's 40 grand. We can move it to another, you wanna move it to a line
There
that you feel
is-
more real? There's 40 grand in that planning infrastructure line that was created, I think, for the purposes of the police renovation. And,
You can use that even in this 2012 budget. 'cause
yeah,
it's
there's that
sitting
40,000 that we
Okay.
found that when we tried to figure out what that was. So why don't we take it out of that line, okay? Okay, so I'll give you the actual number tomorrow, of what line we're taking the money from.
Okay.
Okay?
Second,
So, did you move it?
he made a motion, yeah.
Okay, and you second it?
yeah.
Okay, so all in favor?
Aye.
Okay, motion's so carried. Okay,
Kevin,
great.
I just want to thank Kevin tremendously
Yeah.
for his work, because that saved us a fortune
Thank you,
on using,
Kevin.
Thank you, yes.
on using a real estate
Thank you,
attorney.
Kevin, for your legal prowess.
Send us the bill.
Okay, that's great. Okay, next, the backhoe bid. So, Chris, we ended up having a backhoe that we put up for bid. The offer that came in was less than what we were requesting. I think we were requesting 7,000, and the bid came in for like 3,000. And so what we need to do as a board is decline that bid because we can't accept something that's less than what,
So moved.
so do I have a second?
Second.
Any discussion?
Is there discussion? Can we, well, yeah, let's just.
About what we do
define
with it
Yeah.
next?
Well,
Well, why don't we, go ahead.
well, can we rebid it? Is it worth 7,000?
I mean, Chris, what's your real, what is it, is
It's
it
worth
worth?
10.5 on a trade-in.
Oh,
That's what I
well
was
then,
offered.
yeah, we're not taking three.
No.
Privately, I figured it was worth 7. At this point, if we're not gonna get 7 for it, we'll hold on to it for a little while. We'll see what our equipment needs might be next year and use that as a trade-in to augment any equipment costs.
Now, when you say it's worth a trade-in as a 10, is that someone trying to get you to buy new equipment, or do you,
Oh, of
are you,
course.
are you, well, of course, but are you confident that it's always going to have a,
It's gonna be in that general area.
no matter what, no matter
Yeah,
how?
no matter
You know
pretty much
what?
where it goes, I believe.
That'll save us money, I think, yeah.
What?
And is it in your way, or is it leaking
No.
anything?
Okay,
It's
I
in-
we
okay.
can find the bit, let's go.
Okay, so, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Motion so carried? Okay, next. Okay, next on the list is the film approval. Yeah, let's just keep going, okay? Film approval. We got a thing in today, and the only reason I put it on the agenda today was because it's for October 2nd. So, a man named Michael Cohn called. He's a film director, would like to use our courtroom on October 2nd at 9 a.m. for about an hour. He'd like to film an area of our courtroom for a movie. I'm not sure who is to give permission for this to happen. Please let me know either way. And here's his number if you want to make it happen. Now, as the former film commissioner who used to go to board meetings to ask people to allow locations to be used, I certainly support it. I'm not quite sure what process the town has in place. I mean, I know we'd want to get a certificate of insurance. That's one thing I do know. Other than that, I don't know if you have a process or whatever.
Workers' comp, if he
did,
has any
yeah.
employees.
So,
There should be a permitting process, but it doesn't sound like there's enough time.
I know when the German company wanted, well, this is town property in the village. Yeah, they had to get permission, a waiver of liability. I mean, all we have is a guy who says his name is Michael Cohen, and he says he's a film director. I mean,
Just get a waiver and an indemnity agreement, that's it.
Wholehearted.
I would like the request to come on his letterhead. and-
Rather than an email.
Yeah.
Yeah.
well, that's okay. I mean, what ended up happening was he called the courtroom.
Right.
And then she was getting
And
in
they're
touch with
just
us to find out how to go
Okay,
through the process.
right. But
So-
the town board got a formal letter
Yeah.
from the other film companies saying, who they were and that they were, they had their own insurance.
Okay, so, we want to waive of liability, what else, Kevin?
You need an indemnification of hold harmless agreement. In the event that somebody is working for them, gets hurt,
Right.
and the town gets sued,
Mhm.
we look back to them for liability. Any expenses that we incur to force that, they have to indemnify us.
And are we going to have to provide security or anything? I mean, do people just
Yeah,
get
I mean,
to
traditionally we get
wander
paid
around
for
the
anyone
courthouse?
using our property
That's
too.
true, actually.
I mean,
We
we
did.
have
We
never
got-
had anyone filming since I've been on the board, and we've had the German company
$6,000.
several times film on town property.
I
We've
think
always
we
gotten
got
paid.
$1,000 to use the rail trail. They
No, we got $3,000.
But I think it depends, though on if they need the police protection or not.
No,
I think
no.
I mean, no, I mean like police to stop traffic in terms of being able
No,
to.
no, they provided all
Uh-huh.
the security.
Uh-huh.
If
Yeah.
this is a student
Yeah, I
that's
don't
doing
know.
it for a project, that would be different, right? In terms of what we
Yeah, it
ask.
depends. I mean,
So
I know-
maybe we can find out a little bit
Most of
more.
them have some kind of budget. I mean, if it's a professional film
Yes,
company.
no, I mean, it depends. I mean, having been the film commissioner, you get all sorts of requests. You get requests from students, you get requests from independent film companies, you get requests from, major film companies, and,
My courtroom is not.
Well, I would like to have a town
It
employee
has
there
flavor.
watching
Yeah.
during the filming. I
It's
mean,
cheaper than,
I suspect.
I suspect we should have our movie star there.
Yeah, I think so.
only if they provide makeup and hair.
You do have a SAG card, right? So
I mean, honestly, I have to say, I mean, I wouldn't ever say no because I was the film commissioner, but I mean, for me, in terms of the fact that the budget's due on the 1st and this is the 2nd, I don't really have the time to really do all of this vetting, but I just don't want to, but we'll see if somebody tomorrow, we can try to check out as much as we can and stuff, and
Right.
I don't know how you guys want to handle it.
I
Well-
would like to give you the permission to
Make the decision.
make the decision.
Thanks, great.
Josh wants to say something.
Second.
Go ahead.
You have
But
to make
it-
sure it's not gonna cause an air of uprising or it's not a porno film.
Yeah, right, we'll find out what the movie is.
Really, these stations.
Yeah, that's true. No, it's true.
Take a close look.
Okay, so Kevin made a motion and Jeff seconded to authorize the supervisor to vet out this request, and if it's kosher and we can get these sign-offs for the liability and the indemnification, then I can give permission. Okay?
Well, what are we going
Any
to
more
do
discussion?
about, the fact that the last film company gave a $3,000 contribution to the rail trail?
I suspect that this is probably a small little film.
But we don't know that. I mean,
Well, I'll find out.
As part
But-
of your vetting, you're gonna find out who's making pass.
Right.
I really, I mean, I can only just say, looking at the fact that they called the courtroom directly.
It might be
and-
Michael Cohen from Law and Order.
Mike Cohen is not one of the famous
If they
Cohen
wanted
brothers.
to film in one of our historic buildings.
I mean,
then
the
could
fact
really
that they didn't go through the Woodstock
Right,
film.
asking for a contribution to the commission or
Right.
something.
This is,
I mean, they didn't call the Hudson Valley Film Commission, and the Film Commission called us and whatever, I mean, so, anyway, all in favor?
Aye.
Okay, good,
Aye.
let's keep
Aye.
moving, motion so carries. Okay, what's next on the agenda?
you wanna move to approval of minutes before we go?
No, because we're not doing the minutes
We
tonight.
had the backhoe bid.
We have tons, we still have more. We
We
did
did
the backup
backhoe.
of the film, okay, the court bailiff. We were, the board made a request to the court
That they
that they advertise and see if they could get a New Paltz resident. They did put an ad in the paper, they did advertise, they did get one application, but the problem with the person who did the application is they're not authorized to carry a gun. And I guess the people at the court who are the bailiff, is that the proper term, all have guns. And so this person doesn't have the ability to carry a gun. So,
Could they obtain the ability because the person did go to
there's
training
nothing.
for?
Right.
There's nothing in the
There's-
job description
saw that.
that they
I saw-
advertise that
right, it
says
says-
you have to be licensed to carry a pistol.
right, I did look to see if they had that after I found out that he didn't carry a
Yeah.
gun. So, I mean, right now they do have the Heidi working part-time, or she will start working part-time. But I wanted to bring this forward and see if you want them to put an ad back in, make it more specific, well, how you guys just want to go. What?
Well,
What?
Specific aspect.
more specific ad, we should go back in.
More
and
specific.
Also,
Right. You know
if
what?
they could reach out to the
If
local
you
resident.
have to
because-
have, if you have to have a license to carry a gun, has to be in the advertisement.
Okay, which I agree. I looked to see when I heard that he didn't have the.
Because, but I have to say, not only is it not in the advertisement,
Yeah,
it
it's
is
not-
not in the civil service job
Exactly.
description.
So I don't even know if they are required to carry a sign.
However,
Is there any specific training they require?
yes, if the judges feel that they want their court officers to be armed and be licensed to carry a gun, which if it doesn't say it in the civil service, then if they advertise as such, I will go with it.
Because the one person that did apply, I would imagine, I mean, just at first glance and for what their current duties are working with the population they're working with,
Yes.
I would guess this is a person that could very easily get
Yes,
a
that's
permit.
Right.
Hardcore.
Yeah.
So
Right.
I could say this person would qualify for a permit. Now, if there's training above and beyond for the weapon item, that I don't know, but it's nowhere in the job description, and I think our judges would be going a little far if they then started having other requirements for carrying a pistol, since they don't.
Yeah, I'm not,
So,
I mean, we have tasers, we have pepper spray, we have a whole arsenal of stuff down there. I'm not sure that I'm comfortable in requiring armed personnel in the
What-
courthouse if that's not in the civil service description.
how about if we do
But
this? If,
what I'd like to know is, was this person interviewed? Did this person have a face-to-face interview?
I actually can't answer that. What happened was Jim, there was that going away potluck lunch for Bob Leghorn, and somehow Jim and I started talking, and then this conversation came up, about this whole thing, and so that's when Jim said, well, we did put the ad in, we did, talk to the person, they don't have a gun and whatever, and I said, just send me all over the information, let me bring it. So what I'd actually like to suggest is, since Heidi right now is working there, they do have the person, because we authorized her on a temporary basis, why don't we ask, next October, ask at the next board meeting in October to have Jim or John come and talk to us, so we can really get a better understanding of this position, and then we could.
Let's have this person tell us whether or not he would be willing to apply for a
Pistol license.
pistol license. That seems like, I mean,
Pistol permit.
just looking at this resume,
Okay.
this looks like the ideal candidate.
Yeah, he's a good candidate,
So-
I agree.
So-
Okay, so you want me to have John or Jim?
Right, I mean, if they interviewed
Who's
this
his liaison
person,
for the Justice
It's
Court?
not, it's just not a pistol permit, though.
but if that's their only
Right,
reservation,
but there's
It's a license to
training
carry a gun.
and all that stuff that goes
Well, that comes along with when you get your pistol permit, you go to a 8-hour class.
But you're gonna need to go to a specific class for
Yeah.
courtroom things too.
What the person that's currently doing, if you look at their resume, Heidi nowhere indicates, that doesn't even
Yeah.
indicate that she has a pistol permit.
Yeah, Heidi's resume is really not,
It doesn't even indicate that she's had any specialized
I was about to say
training.
that, just so you know, with Heidi's resume, that, well, when we brought it up that night, she was called like that morning by John to get a resume in, because I said I would bring it to the board, because John had asked me, had asked, they have a court bailiff in the budget. John asked for us to hire her. Originally, I was just gonna approve it because it's in the budget, but then I, realized, no, it should be coming to the board, and we should all take action to approve it. And so I said, John, just get a resume right away. Carol did call and talk to her extensively, because we were talking about the gun and whatever. Carol called her and talked to her extensively. She's got incredible background. She's been in the military and all this kind of stuff. When Carol talked to her, she said, I didn't have time to change my resume and get it to you, because John just called and said, could I have it right away? So this is her old resume, and we've never had her updated. Just so you do know, but she does have incredible experience based on a long conversation Carol had with her brother-in-law, who is in the field, and then she called this woman directly to ask what she needed to ask.
but she never mentions her military
I know, that's what I'm
service.
saying. She told when Carol called her to ask, when Carol called her brother-in-law to find out what kinds of experience you need to
And she
have.
has a license
And then
to
she
carry.
called that woman.
She does?
Yes, yeah.
Okay, so that's
Oh,
not
she's
in
got a
here.
license to carry, she's got military experience, she's,
Okay, well, I
I
mean.
mean, she was very vetted, let me put it to that
Well,
way.
but we can't
Yes.
verify any of that from
Yeah,
here,
right,
right?
yeah.
So, I would like, who is the liaison?
I know, I was just
to
wondering.
I think
court?
Kevin, I thought we made Kevin the liaison
Okay,
to
Kevin.
the courts, because.
I have a conflict.
Okay.
I can't
Oh,
be the-
okay.
I can't practice in the court with multiple officers.
So, I mean, I'm willing to call Becky and
Uh-huh.
just say, please call this other applicant and
Mhm.
ask him if he would be willing to apply for a pistol permit. And if so, were there any other reservation? I mean,
What I would
is there?
prefer, would you call John Katz? Either call John or Jim.
Okay.
I'd rather you talk to one of the judges about,
Okay.
because they're the ones making the decision on who they feel comfortable having in their courts, not the clerk.
Okay.
So if you could call John and, or Jim and just, talk a little bit more about this. In the interim, yeah, we don't have to do anything. We don't have to do anything. Right now, Heidi is coming in to fill out the paperwork. She'll be there, so they have somebody in the courts. And after Kitty talks to them and figures things out, we could decide. We're meeting on October 4th for the fracking, so if we have to do anything, we could do it then.
So then we'll know what we need to
Right.
advertise after that.
Yeah.
Right.
Okay?
Okay.
Okay, so great. Let's move on. Next on the agenda is Chuck's equipment. So, Chris, I'll just give a quick little background, and then I'll turn it over to Chris real quickly. In next year's budget, Chuck put in for recreation a four-wheeler. Is that the best way to describe it?
Maybe. Ride-on mower?
He put in for, I'll just send it here and pass it down. He put in for that. My first reaction was like, I wasn't really very excited about it. And I can't remember, it was $7,000 or?
I think he put in for 7,000.
7,000. I wasn't really thrilled about it, but when I read the text, he said that he had vetted it through Chris, that Chris basically thought that this would really, really be good for the fields, that it would be great. He sees, the problems with the lawnmowers going back and forth. This could take the lawnmower around. It could help with the trails when they do that fitness trail that, Amy Harrington and the rec committee are working on and some of the other things. So Chris actually thought it was a good idea. And so then what I did was I actually went into Patty to say to Patty, couldn't we use our rec funds, which I'm going to bring up later on the fields, for the fields and all that kind of stuff. We have this money that developers pay us in order for, that's reserved for recreation. And we should start using that money instead of taxpayers' money to pay for as much recreation as we need to, because this is the kind of stuff we have to be doing. That money doesn't help us sitting in the bank, and then we go raise taxes so we can pay for, material to maintain the fields or equipment that we need to buy. So I did go into Patty and said, would it be feasible for us to take from the rec funds the money to buy that? She said she was pretty sure because it's off-road and it's specifically being used for recreation, but she was going to verify that for me, and we've been so busy with the budget, so I still need her to verify it. In the interim, Chris found, is it a used one?
Yep.
Go ahead, I'll turn it to you.
What Chuck was looking at was a downscaled version of that. That one there, that's a picture off the web, so it's real fancy with chrome rims. This is pretty basic. What he found was a two-wheel drive. It's got a little dump body on the back of it. What I found was a four-wheel drive. It's an 06 with 7 hours on it. Person had purchased it and passed away, and it sat in the garage. The person who purchased it after that, for whatever deal he got it on, he serviced it, he put a top on it. I went by, I looked at it. He showed me the original receipt was for $10,300. He is asking $6,500. I believe it's a good deal. They're talking along with Chuck about what his needs are up there. I believe it also works in with buildings and grounds for working on the fields. We pull a groomer around the fields. The problem is they only have one homeowner riding tractor to pull this groomer around the fields. So what we do is we pull it around the Field of Dreams, we load it on a trailer, we bring it down to Clearwater, we do the same thing down there, and then we bring it back up there. It's back and forth, back and forth. Eventually, when the trails are open, the hiking trails, this is something that's small enough that leaves a very light footprint that will be able to go on the walking trails instead of taking a large truck. Won't rip up the ground. We can do garbage with it. On the same hand is Field of Dreams is a rather big area. We're walking around up there back and forth, which takes a lot of time. We're taking our big truck, we're driving it around. This is like a custodial cart. You could put the your leaf blowers, your stuff in it, and drive around. It can also be used for any other functions in town you want to use.
Can you water flowers with it?
Yes.
But we're not doing that next year. That's out. So, and you have,
Sure about that?
We're not watering the
Yes.
flowers, the village is doing it.
Right.
No.
We're putting up
we get
snow
the
decorations.
street decorations, holiday decorations.
Does the
So,
village,
do you have a
does the
place
village
to?
have an interest in sharing this with us?
I think the point is we already have enough uses for
Yeah,
it.
we don't need
But
to.
do we have a place to store it up there?
Chris
Sorry.
does.
Yes, we do.
Okay.
There's the building up there has plenty of room to store it. It's really to be made, or Mike's is to keep it up there. It's not something that leaves that field.
I'm 99% sure we cannot use rec fees for this because it's for maintenance, and rec fees are for acquisition and capital construction.
It's the golden handcuffs of recreation fees. We've looked into it multiple times. Recreation fees are solely for the use of developing new fields, new recreational opportunities, not maintaining them. And that's why you see a lot of communities have taken their rec fees and dropped them down to almost nothing, because you end up, Kitty, what's my favorite line?
The gift that keeps on taking.
So you get this wonderful gift. We're going to give you a baseball field. You get this beautiful baseball field, and then what?
You
gotta
have to
mow
pay
it,
to
you gotta-
maintain it.
You gotta maintain it, and most communities have found that it was a great idea and a great concept, but
Okay,
unfortunately the
I have
funds
a
are
question.
Well, okay, good. Although I have,
I
go ahead.
thought that earlier this year, Chuck was trying to buy he was trying to buy the ride-on
He
mower.
does have money in his budget, so he
So
does.
that's at least half of it, right?
Oh, absolutely. I already.
Half of that.
I wanted to try to see if we could get rec funds, but I did email him because Chris had said that he had money in his budget. So I did email him before tonight to say, you definitely have money in your budget if we can't do it through the rec funds. And he said, yes, and you're right, because he had money in his budget
Right,
to buy
that
the
we wouldn't-
lawnmower that we didn't authorize.
Right.
He also had money in his budget for the part-time employee that we didn't authorize. So he's
Right.
got lots of money in his budget. 'cause he
Right.
authorized
This
it.
is something he was gonna put in his budget for next year.
Next year, and I sort of-
for what he was looking for, I found twice the vehicle for a little less money.
Right, oh, okay.
Yeah. So he put it into his budget for for next year. I wasn't.
that gets approved.
And then Chris found this, and, Chris said, you really don't wanna wait, like he said, this is
Right.
half the
Right.
money for a better vehicle, and the money's there, and we'll lose it.
So we need two more comparables. I didn't see a price on this one. You need two comparables for the same year, same model, and then your purchase. Okay.
And just, we're not making any action tonight, I would definitely need some more time to talk to some of our recreation people. We're a long ways away from seeing the trails completed out there, or for that matter, even started out there. We're a long ways away from seeing the dog park go in out there,
If I
so.
can just correct you, we're actually not that far away, because the biggest problem is getting to the county. Now that we have the approval, it's just a matter of the work of the committees doing what they have to do to get it going.
Raising 25,000.
But,
But regardless,
Yeah.
but I mean,
But
that notwithstanding,
Yeah.
I'm not completely sold on, I understand the want for this vehicle, I'm not sold on the need for the vehicle out there.
well, I mean, I think what I need to see is what our rec budget looks like for next year. And it's really our responsibility to make the hard decision about how much taxpayer money we want to spend on recreation. And if we're going to make the commitment to the Field of Dreams, then we probably need a vehicle like this. But the understanding is that the more we improve it, the more we're going to have to budget for it every year. So every time we add another dog park or 2 miles of trails or something, that becomes a constant in our budget. And we did use a lot of recreation fees and a lot of state park money to purchase the land. And it doesn't become a burden on the taxpayer until we start trying to use it and make it into something that the recreational community can use.
So why even own it?
Because as passive recreation, it doesn't cost us anything. you know, people can go out there, ride their horses, you know, take a hike, do whatever they want to do, and that doesn't cost us anything. But we do have an obligation to provide for the organized sports activities of our community. We can't do that within the old areas that we used to have because the community has grown.
And in
So-
Kitty's example, I mean, the largest park in our community, Kevin, is actually passive recreation, and that's the rail trail. That's owned by the town. That costs us literally a few $1,000s a year. That's our contribution to it, and yet that is the #1 used park that you county heads on in this community. And it does not cost us a tremendous amount. When you start getting into ball fields, you know, I had interesting conversations with a few ball players today even, and coaches. I don't know if their input is being heard towards the recreation budget. In fact, I can spoke to the president, and actually you saw him stop in tonight. He has not been asked at all about his input for the recreation budget for next year. And this is the president of the Baseball Association. They're the ones that use all of the land. And I think we're at a point in our budget and in our funds here, we might need to start having conversations. Do we want them to be more active in the maintenance, and do we want to lease them the fields maybe?
We should at least have a conversation, right?
Indeed, have the conversation. So I like the idea of this, but I'm wondering if we are putting the all-wheel drive, four-wheel cart before the horse here. You know, we should be having conversations with the major users of it. What do they see the expense? Do they have another use for
Would they
$7,000,
like to do some
$8,000?
fundraising?
And to be honest with you, I know they do. I mean, there's some drainage issues in some of the fields. There are turf issues of which they're getting huge labor. You know, the New Paltz Baseball Association over 3 years has put about $25,000 into our fields for us. They built 4 dugouts. They're building 2 right now, right next to your highway garage.
That's the Boy Scouts.
Well, the New Paltz Baseball Association provided a lot of the funding for that material. They provided they provided the $4,800 in lumber, $4,500 in lumber for that. So there is a lot
So
where we're
that's
getting
Eagle
from.
Scout.
So
Yeah, that was Eagle Scout.
that's an Eagle Scout project,
Right.
right? So and it's an incredible project, and that is all being being
Which is
donated.
going along very well, by the way.
It is. I went out
He's doing a good
actually-
job.
I actually went out and saw them today, and they look incredible. They look like they're being. Yeah.
So
Yeah.
here's my concern, is that the thing that we can spend recreation money on is a construction of the concession stand out at the field, which will become a source of revenue and could then use those profits to purchase things like this. So, you know, we've not been able to fund that in the past because we've had to allocate so much of our recreation funds to the pool. If we are really able to cut back on what we have to allocate for the pool, this might be the year when we can build a concession stand out at the Field of Dreams, which will, I do believe, generate the kind of money that can be used to purchase things like this.
You said the rec funds can't be used to maintain.
Right.
It can only be used to
To capital construction or acquisition of land.
Okay, so capital construction, so it was used, so the rec funds were used at the pool for capital construction?
Yes.
Now, but that means that those funds could be used to purchase a pavilion that they want to build out at the Field of Dreams?
Yes.
Well, the interesting thing is, remember, we didn't do anything because of the prevailing wage and all that? Well, what I've since learned was from Amy Harrington, when we were up at the Bruderhof, that the Bruderhof actually offered to build the pavilion. So I said, well, if they're willing to build the pavilion, then why are we even talking about prevailing wage, and why is there a problem? We could just go purchase the building, the Bruderhof could put it up, we're done with it.
Right, well,
what's-
they have, that's a wonderful offer. It hasn't gotten
Come to
this
you?
to here, but.
Well, we had it in a conversation, walking from lunch out to whatever. So Amy said that she was gonna go back and talk to the rec people about it, and I said, well, so if we could actually use the rec funds to buy the
Purchase.
pavilion, the Bruderhof can put it up, we can get the pavilion for nothing.
Right.
I mean, no taxpayers' money, it's developers' money.
Right. Then, we have to get the septic and the engineering.
Well,
and-
that's something I have to,
Which can come out of recreation funds, but, we do have the ongoing maintenance.
well, the thing with the septic, and that, after the budget's done, I'll have time to work on, but that's a bigger problem the bigger problem with that is the county and the fact that they really want to hook up into the county sewer system, which is out there for the salt shed, and for whatever. But from what I understand, that the Board of Health, when they were building the salt shed, but the Department of Health, the building department, the highway department was building the salt shed. The Board of Health at the county wanted them to do something. They didn't do it. There was a lot of fighting between these two departments, and the town got sort of caught in the middle. So at some point when I have a little bit of time, I'm supposed to call up to the county executive and sit down and say, how do we resolve this? And so that's sort of like
one way we
next
resolve
week.
it is
Because we have
Clivis
about-
mulchums,
'cause of our-
composting toilets. Forget that whole septic thing. And they
And if I
are
go
all
over
over
here-
If
state
that's capital
parks in New
improvement, then why
York.
don't we just do it?
We could.
And if I
Okay,
go
so
and
what-
pull out my files, we probably have about $15,000 or $12,000 in engineering to not have a sewer out there. And then,
Yeah.
kidding, we really do. We have
I know.
over $10,000 in engineering to not have anything out there still.
Do you get reimbursed for that money out of
No.
rec funds?
Not for the sewer stuff.
Not for sewer.
Why not for the engineering?
Yeah, I mean, actually, it's
You
true,
look,
because
maybe.
if that was for capital
Makes sense.
construction, it should.
Well, it probably came out of rec funds.
Oh, it might,
I don't know.
I gotta go back and look. I don't have that.
Okay.
But reimbursed from the county?
No, from the rec
our-
funds. If it didn't come out of
Oh.
rec fund, it should have come out of rec fund.
It could have. I mean, I think
I have to go back
I
and
think
look.
we were trying to spread the rec funds around the community.
Actually, it came out of Chuck's budget. I do remember that it came
Okay.
out of recreation budget, not out of rec funds. I know it did.
Okay, two things so we can wrap this up and keep moving. I did give you both the recreation budget.
Yeah, Jeff and I talked about that.
Okay, and remember, I have to have a budget by Monday, so right now I'm just using what,
We'll have it ready for you by Monday.
no, I need it tomorrow, Monday.
Tomorrow?
I said to you, I told you I wanted it today.
She said tomorrow.
You gave it to us Wednesday.
Are you,
What?
What time tomorrow?
so it's not
I want
done
it-
yet?
I want it tomorrow afternoon. I need it to,
Hey.
do breakfast.
Wait a minute, how many hours did I spend here? It's not done?
From,
Come on.
You guys are giving me
I was
hand-
busy letter writing.
okay.
And actually, and Katie will know how much do I love handwritten spreadsheets.
Okay, anyway, the long and the short,
Is that what we've got?
I got a handwritten.
It's
how
all
much-
handwritten.
A
It's all
little of
handwritten.
this,
Anyway,
a
let's keep
little of
moving. Let's
that.
keep moving.
Exactly,
Okay,
yeah,
let's keep
exactly.
So are
moving.
we tabling this?
Okay, no, wait, just time out for a second. The budget has to be handed into her on Monday. So I only have, count the clock, 72 hours left till it's done. Okay, so tomorrow I will be working on it all day, like I did all day today, and like I did all day on Yom Kippur. And I ask God to forgive me.
So I'll be in tomorrow.
Yes.
I will be in tomorrow.
Okay, thank you.
Which I got to.
She sounds like such a beggar.
I need him to forgive me.
I told you, forgive me, but you sound like.
Yeah, anyway.
Okay,
Okay,
so
so in
we
terms of
need
this,
two more
what do
bids
you,
for this, and then we just have to look at our budget and
Okay.
figure out, is it coming
So
out
we'll
of
do
rec
two
fees?
bids, they'll look at, they'll come up with somewhat of a plan. If I can just respond though, just in terms of, we have invested a lot in the Field of Dreams. What I do know is that it gets used an incredible amount. Those fields are used an awful lot, and, you know, they are an asset to the community in terms of recreation and whatever. So we do have them, we are maintaining them, you know, so, you know, get the bids, we'll look at everything, but if, you know, again, if Chris feels that this is gonna help to streamline the maintenance and whatever,
But just equipment-wise, and, you know, if it doesn't happen, which is fine, we can always, you know, look at something else down the road, but we're currently using two mowers that are aging
Yeah.
rapidly at $14,000 to $20,000 apiece. We're using a homeowner's special garden tractor to pull the groomers around the field,
Right.
which was never designed to do that. So it's, you know, we're
But
doing as much as we
What
can with as little as
concerns me
possible.
is that we're adding trails, right? And so we're adding our labor budget, essentially. And, you know, we need more equipment, we need more people, because we've got more trails, we've got more recreation for people. So, I know Susan is trying really hard to keep the budget under control. What we may see this year, I mean, I don't know how you've handled Moriello, but if we really are able to cut that in half, we may be able to do all these things, you know, because we have to provide recreation for the entire township.
if I remember, we have Moriello in at the full for now, the conversation happened. I don't remember what we ended up doing. We might have cut it in half and the revenue in half. I have to go back and look.
I
don't know
think
what we're doing.
that's, okay.
Um,
So we need 2 more of these. I don't know who wants
Okay,
this.
so.
You want this back?
What I think
I'll get it.
Okay.
I'll do.
Okay, Josh, I'll give you 30 seconds.
Okay, and a quick question. Is it building to grounds that maintains the field of dreams?
Yeah.
And did you also say that we maintain the rail trail?
No,
We own the
No.
rail trail.
We own the rail trail.
right.
but we don't
The
have
Rail
the
Trail
funds.
Association
The Rail Trail
maintains it.
Association, we give
Volunteer
them-
Association
We
does
gave
that,
them, I
right.
believe, $3,000 or $4,000 in the budget each year.
We do help the rail trail with mowing.
Yes.
Right.
Okay, well, the reason I asked was because, I don't know, if you're doing the work there, maybe that piece of equipment should be in his department.
Well, it is all his department now.
Not in recreational, but in
It's-
buildings and
well-
grounds or whatever.
Well, we were gonna use it between buildings and
Yeah.
grounds.
Because he may
and
have more
recreation.
uses for it than
No,
just.
no, trust me, if Chris didn't say that he thought this was valuable and give me all the reasons why he thought it was gonna save on equipment and save on time, and it was worth it, we wouldn't even be having this discussion, it would've just been out of the budget. But because Chuck spoke to Chris, and Chris explained to me all the reasons why he thought he could use this from a building and grounds perspective and the field's perspective, that's why it's on the agenda to talk about with the board.
And
That's
also it makes
after
more
you went
sense
out
to
and
get-
got a cheaper version.
Right,
for-
exactly.
It makes more
Exactly.
sense to get a four-wheel.
Exactly.
Right.
So anyway, so Chris, you'll do the,
I'll get the
the
2 more
comparables. Meanwhile, they're gonna be working on the budget, and we'll have another discussion, so we'll just move on. We don't have to
Okay, move
table, we'll
on.
just move on. Okay, support letter for the senior living, that's pretty quick. As I told you, Lou's Nursing Home, which is called, I guess, Mountain View Nursing Home, is looking to expand and become more of a, I think, assisted living or whatever, but they can't expand on the site that they're on. Unfortunately, through the county, they were actually told to go to Highland. Fortunately for us, they didn't get a warm reception in Highland, and so when they came to talk to me, the economic person who's overseeing it, I was really upset that we could potentially lose a business in New Paltz that's been a very, very long-standing business that takes care of our residents and has a lot of staff potentially having lost, leave. So I said, what do we have to do to keep you here? We want to keep you here. They've been going around. They've since talked with Michael Moriello. I think they have since gotten they have a deal on property, some of the Moriello property down at the edge of South Puck Corners. But what they have to do is, in order to move forward, they have to get a certificate of need through the state, because don't forget, they're a nursing home. It's a whole process. It's a whole application, right, for them to be able to move or whatever. So I just got this today.
They
and
also want to increase in size.
it's going to increase in
Yeah.
size, absolutely. So I got the letter today, and I only brought it forward because they want to get it into the state next week. So they're getting a letter from the county executive, they're getting a letter from the chairman of the legislature, and they asked for us to support their application through this letter. So I don't know if you guys need me to read it out loud, or
We're ready.
a motion.
So moved.
A
Second.
Any discussion?
Just the only discussion is this actually is something too that I would not mind seeing a pilot go to also, because these do truly create jobs and a lot of local jobs. This is a example of a good job creator that does not impact our schools.
But do they provide for Medicare residents?
Oh, they have to in New York State.
Oh.
I mean, they have to. That's part of the application process. They have to prove the need, and then New York State will review it to make sure that there's a population here.
Okay, because
Now,
we
it's
have
only a
some
percentage.
very expensive housing for elderly people, but we don't have anything.
Yeah, no, this is.
So even Mountain View at its current,
Okay.
current level, they have less than 80 beds. It's very difficult for them to give many of those beds. It's a portion of your beds go towards.
Okay.
And it does say
So-
cost-effective home.
Right, so you need to get.
Well,
over
it
100
always
beds.
says that.
Yeah, well.
Right, okay.
Okay,
All right.
so you guys are authorizing me to
Okay.
support this letter? So
Yes.
this-
But-
Okay,
Aye.
And when this comes back to us a year from now as a proposal, I do want to see a dedicated number of beds
well,
for
it's actually, let me just tell you really
low-income
quickly.
seniors.
They are going through the certificate of need, but I think they're planning in 30 days to be in front of the planning board,
Wow.
okay? They've been doing a lot of their work, already
Okay.
doing their work and stuff, and so, and Dave you guys have actually authorized a few things of Dave vetting out some stuff and everything, so Dave has met with them. Dave
Well, if
has
it's a
met-
pilot, we can definitely
We'll deal with that later,
negotiate.
yeah, okay? So, all in favor?
Aye.
Okay, motion so carried. Okay, before we get to a personnel matter that we'll do in public and then possibly go into executive session for contract conversation possibly. Middle school consolidation, Kitty.
Well, I just wanted to say that I don't know if Mr. Bonds and Rick Linden and the board have carried their conversation any further, but if the school district is not interested in joining us as a partner, I think it was worth exploring, but I think that the general level of infrastructure for town offices is dangerous to the point where if the school district just can't see their way clear to moving forward, then I think we need to step away from that and begin to look at other places soon where we can relocate some of the town offices. So, I mean, I don't want to put a deadline, but, and yet I do want to put a deadline just because I know we have Mr. Bond for a retainer through the end of this year. And if there are other vacant commercial properties in this town that might solve our problems, I would like to begin to explore those. So I guess what I'm just looking for is from the board is it doesn't, from what I'm getting in the community at the post office and places, I'm just not getting the sense that there's a lot of support for a government center at the middle school. So if this board is willing to kind of step away from that and begin to try and identify other locations, I would like to start moving in that direction.
Okay, so I'm going to just, and I don't disagree with you at all. I just want to, just conversely, I do want to say, actually, funny enough, I've been getting a lot of support for the middle school. Amazingly so, and people stop me all over the place. But again, I don't think we could sit here and wait, for the school district to do the long-term planning and figure out what they want to do. So Ken has called me a few times to catch up with me because of the budget. I actually texted him today and said that I just got a few of your messages. I had called him when we were on vacation about the BID to say you need to get me the proposal on the BID because we really want to get moving on that. And so he called me back. I haven't had a chance to call him back, so I texted him today and said, I'm sorry I haven't called you. I won't call you till next week. I'm too busy with the budget. And he wrote back and said, great. What I think, I'll find out from him what conversations he's had with the school district. My sense with that right now is they have to do their long-term planning. They've got to figure out where they're going. I agree with you that we don't have the time as a town to deal with our infrastructure needs. This building is a disaster waiting to happen. Chris actually told me, Josh, can you stop talking? Chris actually told me that he went in when we gave him building and grounds. He's so conscientious. He went around and inspected all the buildings. Chris said to me just yesterday, he said, Susan, I don't even know how the judges willingly work in the courts. They should refuse to go to work. That place is disgusting and they need to be out of there immediately. It's pretty much what you said to me, right?
I've never been in a more depressing building in my life.
Right.
It's horrible.
So Chris said we need to get them out there. And actually, as a matter of fact, I have a security door that I need to talk to you about for the court stuff. So he wants them out of there. This place is horrible. So I think we all agree that we need to start to look at other alternatives. Now, one of the things I've thought about is if the school district is truly moving out of where they are right now and they're moving into Lenape, if that's happening, that building becomes available and maybe we could move town hall offices into the old, the administration building that the school district is leaving. They spent close to $500,000 in taxpayers' money to fix it up. It'd be sort of really nice if we could just move in there for a temporary basis,
But wouldn't we have to lease it?
We'd have to lease it.
Yeah.
We'd have to lease it. But
I didn't know we had money
I
for
would
that.
only do that.
Only
if we have-
temporary,
if-
only
if
temporary.
we have this building sold.
Oh, no, well, that's what I was going to say. That's
but it's just such a domino process.
we have
and
to-
we just
And
need
also,
to
maybe
start
if Ken
somewhere.
could educate us or educate you on eminent domain, and maybe there's some properties that have already been paid for by
Yeah.
taxpayers.
You think?
That you could look into eminent domain, and is that a vehicle we could use quickly?
Right.
Well, what I
How
think.
many times do taxpayers have to actually pay for a piece of property?
I-
30.
yeah.
Okay.
I made it up, I'm
So,
sorry.
let me just ask a question. Because, I mean, I've talked with Kevin and Jeff, about just biting the bullet, putting this property up, like sort of saying, we are going to take the steps to put this property up for sale. see what kind of offers we can get that give us a sense of, good Lord, what Gene? You can't make something happen until you take the first step to make it happen. You can talk and talk and talk, but when you take the action and say, this building is for sale, then everybody knows we're serious about selling this building and finding some other place for town hall. And then all of a sudden, just like all of a sudden the cemetery became available when we created a committee, you're gonna start getting phone calls from people saying, we have this piece of property, we have this building, would you like to consider it? You don't know what's gonna happen when you actually open up the door. You know, so I would love to start the process of actually putting this up for sale, knowing and committing to the fact that we're going to sell this place unless we wanna, I mean, we do have beautiful plans that were there when I came in 1996 that the town spent on Rick Alfondre. You spent money on Dave Clauser for, you know, a sewer system we never got. We've got gorgeous plans that were spent, the town spent money to get Rick Alfondre. He did a beautiful plan to build a brand new town hall on this property where he built it around this building, and then he takes us down afterwards. And the police and the justice court were all here on this piece of property.
But what we're going back to is the old model, which we can't go back to.
We
And
don't
that's
have
for
the
everybody
funds.
to do their own thing.
Right.
We can't do it. So we have to keep the pressure on the other parts of this equation, the village and the school, and come up with a solution together. That's the only way to do it. I can't imagine us
I like
building
the
a new
big
building.
picture. Well, I can't imagine us building a new building, but there are
buildings available.
There are potential buildings that, in the future, when we all perhaps consolidate, then I can see a future where we might have more similar government functions in one place and other highway functions in another place. But I honestly, I don't see a future right now where the school district and the town of New Paltz can consolidate our administrative needs, because ours are jeopardizing our employees' health and safety. And I don't think we can wait the 5 to 10 years that the funding and visioning that it would take to move forward on anything else.
Well, I don't think you want to take a step in a year or two that you then have to retread for the 5-year plan either. So, I mean, I understand what you're saying, but I too have a greater vision of the center of this community being the center of the community, where you go to a municipal center and you can go and play soccer on a turf field. You can play softball, you can play baseball, all in the middle of your town. You don't need to drive all the way up. Quite frankly, I think our field should be right in the middle of town where that big field is, because then you don't need to drive out to the field and drive back. And if you want to go to the convenient deli or any other place in between games, and I think it's just great for the community, it's great for business, for everything to be in this community. And it's a perfect spot because of the acreage you have there, the size of the fields. You could do a lot there, it would be great. And then have a community day once a year. Our town actually sponsor a community day where people walk and we all get together
Well,
once a
one
year.
of the things I just have to say relative to the middle school, when we went to the presentation, when Ken Bond did the presentation, there were two things that caught me the most. One was they said that they would keep the fields and they wouldn't sell the fields, okay? So they weren't necessarily willing to relinquish the fields in of itself. Would they allow the town to use the fields, you know, on the weekends, you know, when, whatever, possibly, I don't know. The thing that I thought that was really interesting was that when they were talking about the whole LDC and who's involved and who's not, you know, that the president of the school district Patrick Roush did say to Maria, well, we could put our administration in there. So that I did find really interesting when he said they could put their administration in there, because the thought of having $1,000 to renovate a
to
new.
take 10 classrooms at Lenape and turn them into office space. They can keep them classrooms.
Well, I think let's.
I just don't
see
see
it happening.
that happening quickly enough to solve the real problems we have
I
here.
understand that, and I'll tell you something. If we're working hard to solve problems that we can solve, and we're spending a lot of time doing it, and we're making progress doing it. If the school district doesn't do the same thing, it's a calamity coming. There's going to be a huge calamity coming if they don't get themselves together and figure out what they're going to do in the next 3 to 4 years. They better do it.
Well, it sounded to me at the meeting that we were all at with Ken Bond is that they are doing some long-term planning.
We've been doing that for years.
Well, I think, I mean, I think they are responsible people, and I think they know they have the same health and safety issues that we have.
Here's my question though, for you, but seriously. This is something we're handling at our subcommittee level. We're on the Human Resources Subcommittee, village, town, and we're gonna make a recommendation next week to both the town and the village because our committee work is done. How can you possibly run an $11 million budget, which is our budget, or a $55 million budget with part-time people? It just doesn't make any sense to me. I mean, I can appreciate how difficult the job is for the school board. How can you put in the time that you really need to put in to handle that kind of a task, which is running a $55 million operation?
You're talking about the volunteer school board?
Yeah,
Okay.
I mean, I really think they have daunting tasks. How can you possibly do that? So what you're left with is a superintendent and a chief financial officer there running a $55 million budget and trying to plan what they're going to do over the next 5 years. It's impossible. Just like with our joint village and town idea, we need to have somebody that is a professional that we hire, that's going to be there like a chief financial, not a chief financial, but a person, a city manager or town manager, that's in that position for a long period of time, so that when you have a change of administration every 2 years, you don't have to recreate the wheel like we had to here. It took us 6, 7, 8 months just to catch up, to get up to speed on where things were. That's because when when we came in, there was nothing there. There was no history. So you have to start over again every 2 years if you have a change in administration. It doesn't make any sense for a business that's as big as this one is, 11 million, or a school budget that's 55 million. So there's not enough time for these people to solve the problems. It's always put off.
I think that you're making a very good case for us to say that we probably don't have the person power to coordinate a joint effort of consolidating our facility needs.
So
And
how do we solve that problem?
Well, I think we do what Jeff just mentioned. We look at vacant commercial properties that might work for us. But I think the first thing is for us to sort of make the decision that we love the idea of a government center at the middle school if that was something on the school district's wish list. It doesn't appear to be. And so we need to
When you say it doesn't
explore.
appear to be, is that, I mean, that's not the feeling I get from talking to people either. I think the school district.
Have we
to
heard
encourage
something
them
back from that?
They have to make a decision. Tell us what you want to do, because then, Kitty, then you'll know. If they're not interested.
I just assumed that no news was no news, but.
Well, maybe we should ask them. If they're not interested, I agree with you. We have to look at other alternatives.
All right,
And I think you're both making very interesting arguments here, and just to give, and I'll only take a moment to do it, is I think we have learned, though, some from history, though, Kevin, and I will use your example. One is, and Kitty will know, I agree with you wholeheartedly. Field of Dreams is a great idea, and I repeatedly say I think it's in the wrong spot, because you're doing everything you shouldn't be doing to do recreation, which is take your people out of your community and go recreate and then hop back in your cars. Same with walking your dog. You're going to take your dog and put it in a car and go drive it somewhere to go walk it in a caged-in area and then walk it back, drive back out. Not the best use. I think the community has spoken in some interesting ways, and planning with, to Kevin's point, is why we're not doing this long range, is that you don't have the continual process going on, and why we do. And Kevin and I have discussed this several times, why we do need, I think, someone to guide our budget. Now, the decision does still going to come down to an elected board, but what's going to create your budget and your planning is someone that is their job, and we do need that. And if you look at the history of the middle school, I think the community has spoken on it, and a $50 million bond was trying to be floated, and I think the community spoke pretty loudly, if I remember. I think they spoke very loudly, like 4-1, or was it more than that, even 5-1, and said absolutely not. So to me, if I was sitting on that board, I would say, okay, my community spoke to me and said, this obviously can't be used for a school that this community can afford. What do we do next? And I don't get a feeling that anyone has said, let's do this next. And I think the next thing is then it can't be a school. Maybe it can be a community center, because then you don't have all those constraints that a school has. Now you're going to have a lot of the infrastructure will have to be repaired there, and maybe we can get rid of some of the infrastructure. I don't know enough now on that.
Well, I think if to sort of move forward, I think let's do a couple of, I think we all agree that we need to take some action soon. You know, that sitting around doing nothing is no longer an option. Do I agree with you, Kevin, wholeheartedly? You know how I feel about working together, the school district, the town, the village. I've only been saying it since the day I've gotten into government, you know. But, you know, you can't bring the horse through the water, or whatever the phrase is. We keep trying and trying and trying, but until we have partners, we have no partners, okay? You know, so we're trying. So I think in a way, I think we have a commitment, you know, that we want to move forward on trying to solve our infrastructure need. We can, I mean, I will have a conversation with Ken Bond next week to see if he has been speaking with the school board. We can see where they're sort of going. I mean, I know that they were going to look at the numbers and they were exploring it, so we can find out sort of where they're going with that. We do know that there's some other buildings in the community that we can start having conversations with some realtors about the opportunity of what buildings are out there that we could possibly consider that we can bring back to this. And I would like to start the process of how we can basically put this building up for sale, because again, once you take that action, then all of a sudden everybody knows you're not kidding, you know, that you're not talking anymore. And I'll just go back to the perfect example again with the veteran cemetery that for 20 years the veterans of Ulster County tried to get one. When they came to my committee and I formed a committee, what was so amazing was Mr. Egan, the veteran who'd been doing this for 20 years, wrote an email, sent something to the paper, said Susan created a committee to study a veteran cemetery. The next day, the Rosendale Cemetery called, the New Paltz Cemetery called, and within 1 month, we already had a deal for where we're going to have a cemetery. Because he put it out, people called, and all of a sudden, a veteran cemetery happened. So if we say we are going to sell this building, and we're going to aggressively move forward to see where we go and explore our options, who knows what's going to come to us. And all of a sudden, we could turn around tomorrow, and I can come back to the board and say, guess what, you'll never believe it, but you know, here's this piece of property available for us, what do you think? So why don't we just all agree to move forward with exploring putting this up for sale, exploring what other properties are out there in New Paltz that could possibly be a town hall, even if it's just a lease, temporary thing, while, you know, we see what happens with consolidation, we see where the school district goes with their long-term planning, and we just play it by ear and see where it goes. But we have a commitment that we're going to try to get ourselves out of this building and the justices out of the court by next year sometime.
Okay.
How's that?
Yeah.
Yep.
Second. Okay? I made, okay, great. So now personnel, we're going to take some action on a personnel situation.
Are we going to talk about water?
I thought everybody said they
Well, the only reason I want to is that the public hearing at the village is October 10th.
Okay.
And so I think it's important that town residents who use water
Did you guys, I did
know
email this to
about
you.
this.
I printed out copies. This
Wait a minute,
is,
I thought it said November, this one says different than yours
No, it's,
did.
no, it shall be, the village will,
Yeah, the public hearing is October 10th.
and then they're doing November 15th, they'll be effective on the 15th.
Ah.
I just printed you out the,
Right.
I didn't print you didn't print
Oh,
out the,
some kitties, right.
yeah, you didn't print out the,
So, you know, I'm just concerned that our water users may not be aware of the significant changes that's going to happen to their water bill, and that they should be encouraged to go to the village public hearing. And, I mean, these are, I found our water increases from last year that we voted on, and I wanted to, too much paper. I just wanted to compare them with what we approved in our budget last year, which I think, I don't even know if it made it into the budget. Too much paper. But in any case, I just think that, is there a way for us to just send out a press release, maybe, notifying town water users that there will be a public hearing at Village Hall about an increase in water rates?
But you're saying a press release to the paper, or you want to
Yeah.
send a notice out to the, I mean,
I don't think-
I do know that the water billing is going out soon because Chrissy's working on it. When
Yes.
is it really going out?
It'll
Can we
go
put in-
out next week.
Oh, can we put an insert?
Oh,
Can we put an insert into it?
that's even better.
Actually, wait a minute, if the billing is being created right now,
It is.
can you type it right on the bill?
We've already have a message on there, so
Okay,
no.
all right.
An
And
insert, an insert would be
I think
better.
an insert would have more impact.
Okay.
Okay.
I mean, actually, all you need to do is make a copy of these two things.
Yeah,
Have them compare what they're paying now to.
Yeah.
I will,
But-
Chrissy can add that in, I think. Chrissy can add in the water rates now.
So make it front and back, single sheet.
Right.
But see,
What's
the thing,
percentage
the pro-
increase,
the-
Dave?
Pardon?
What's the percentage increase?
The human calculator
It's,
here.
it's, $2.75.
I mean, what percent of last year?
I don't know.
And so, two things. First of all, actually, we can't, that's not good enough to send just like that, because don't forget, we mark up the rate because of.
We had 30%.
Our
We add
administration.
because of our administration,
Right.
so,
And then each district might
Has
be
different
different.
rates.
It
Yeah.
varies.
so.
So you should send this.
So we
Well,
have
but this is their schedule, so we need to write a letter saying, "Dear town water users, there will be a public hearing," we've said all of this. Your individual rate will be based on these with an added surcharge for the town's administration, right? That's what they need to
I
understand.
mean, my concern, my biggest concern about this change in the water rate right now is just the fact that we haven't solved, I am gonna meet with Dave tomorrow, I'm gonna have all the do from, to try to figure out how I do the water and sewer budgets
Yeah.
for next year, and we haven't even solved the problem of the fact that the fund balances are all depleted for the water and sewer, and how we're gonna raise the rates to take care of the depletion of the fund balances, and now there's gonna be an increase.
Right, and
So I think people are gonna get socked
So
really
the
badly.
problem is, you know what, then actually the problem is, Gene, is we can't, because I was gonna just make a quick spreadsheet. I can't just assume we're only gonna add 30%, because some water districts, we actually have to add maybe 50 or 60% just to get the fund balance back up to a point where the state controller would say, okay, that is a healthy fund balance. Because we have a water district with no fund balance at all, which is very risky.
And you have certain water
Should something
districts that
happen.
own certain other water
That have
districts'
very low,
money.
so 30% may not even be enough. We need to take
So,
a
and
really
This
hard
is
look.
gonna be
Do we
very, very.
base our budget on this?
Well, what's happened, we have to
That's-
now. They've never raised them
Well-
this much, and tried to do it so quickly. And I was very sad, and, I'm sorry that Jason never got hold of Susan first before even consulting with an outside consultant to do this and do it even outside of our budget session. So, this works out great for them, but it doesn't work out so great for us because we're coming into our budget season right now. This has a huge impact on our budget.
Yeah. Well,
yeah,
for just a few people. I
Yeah.
mean, it's
Yeah.
really going to hit
Well, it's gonna be really hard, and I have a
1,000
feeling.
people very
And
hard.
honestly, the sewer and water, when I give you the budget on Monday, I can't even be confident that what's, I put in there is gonna be what really comes out by the time we do the final budget, because until we sort of really come up with a plan of how we're gonna take care of all the issues that were brought to us from the controller's report, we have to come up with a plan, and it might mean borrowing money or whatever, so I don't even know that answer, because we haven't even taken that on. So I'm gonna try tomorrow afternoon, my hardest to, once I get the do from, and I sit with Dave to try to understand this, do something.
And the problem is these go into effect.
November 15th.
November 15th,
Right,
unless
I
it
would
gets voted down by
budget.
the board.
I would budget for,
I'm gonna have to, but.
Well,
but
and
I
then we're
wouldn't
gonna be changing
budget-
our rates.
Exactly. Is
Sorry,
that
we're
we're
gonna
gonna
be
have to
changing
do
our-
a local law for each one of our districts and change
Oh.
our rates.
Well, you don't have to,
And
you just
so-
need to modify, you don't do local law, you just modify your rates and you do a public hearing, that's all they're doing. You don't you don't need a local.
We don't have
You don't
the
do local.
water rates in the code book
It's
by local law?
You don't
By
change the
district?
local law. It's, each district is changed just through a public hearing. Your rates are set through just through public hearing. It could be changing them through, I don't know about that.
We certainly
Yeah.
didn't
We didn't do a
change our local law
We didn't
last
change a
year.
local
We had a
law.
public
Okay,
hearing.
We've only
in the
changed it
village,
twice.
the price is in the code book. It's a local law, what water and
Okay, we
sewer
didn't
will
But,
be
but they're
charged.
not,
what do you amend
this
it
isn't
every
a
year?
public hearing to change their local law.
Yeah, because
This is
you know what,
their-
it's not,
the
and
village
actually
is
the.
just,
Of a local law,
wow.
because water
We didn't change our local
rates
law.
are local law.
doesn't mean you did it right.
Sewer,
No, it doesn't mean
yeah,
that, yeah, absolutely.
they have, yeah, when you change the
You're
rate,
absolutely right.
Wow.
you need to, just to make that one change in the local law, you're required to hold a public hearing, and you're required to change your local law.
Okay, so my question back to this, what do we have here? I mean, what, is this our rate that we're charged?
No, yeah, that's the rate they're gonna charge us.
Us.
Yes.
Okay,
So-
so they charge their village residents one rate, then they put a premium on us,
But they
then we put a
charge-
premium
but my
on,
question to you is, if they charge their village users based upon their use,
right,
and the less you use, the cheaper it is, are they aggregating our total use so they bump us up into the 750,000 gallon category a quarter and
No.
charging us the higher rate?
No,
They're not aggregating.
well, we don't know
No.
for sure. but-
No.
How do we know?
I do
that?
know for sure.
Okay, good.
They, your water billing is done per household consumption.
Right.
The meters are read.
Right,
That's
That's
how the
consumption.
billing is done.
so they're not gonna take.
They're not gonna
the
take the
consumption
total
and aggregate it.
consumption for the town, no, and
Okay.
charge you that way.
Now, one more
How
question.
do you know
Well,
that?
how do we know we're not
This
in
is the first
the
time they're
high-end
doing it,
user
this is the first time
category?
they're doing it by consumption. They didn't do
Because
that before.
then they're changing a lot more in the local law than just the rate.
We have
But how do they know what my individual, we do our own water billing. So how would they know that someone's between 4,001 and 50,000 gallons?
Because the town turns their water billing
into the village
master over to the village, and the village bills the town.
based upon that.
Mm-hmm.
But this
So-
is gonna be a little bit more difficult in terms of calculating everybody's bill, because now it's not just one rate, it's just not one rate, and you just spit the bills out.
It was,
Each
right,
bill-
it was never that way. It was flat.
So
Yeah, so I'm gonna say, this could be
Yeah.
a lot more labor
So you're
intensive.
saying they're not gonna aggregate, that's number one. My second question is, what's the percentage increase off the flat rate from last year? Do we know?
I don't know, because I don't know what the town is paying right now,
Okay.
because I just got this.
All right.
Thank you for asking.
Does anybody know?
No, not
The
the
clerk
spreadsheet.
could find out. She
Well,
probably
each
does all
one
have
of your
it.
water
Chrissy
districts
should
are
know.
probably paying a different rate based on their operation costs.
And their fund
I'm just
balance
talking
and
about the
different stuff.
cost to us.
When you say us, do you mean the town of New Paltz because we're on village water? Or do you
Yeah,
mean
my understanding is
users?
that we're charged a certain amount as the participants in the water system that live in the town outside the village, correct? And that we then take their bill and add 30% to it.
They add more money to they charge their village residents one rate, they charge the town rates
higher rate.
150% higher, I
But do we
think.
know if it's
150%
but
higher,
is
right?
it still 150%?
I do not know.
Well, sure,
I
yeah,
don't
because,
work at the
probably
village.
0.0046 to 0.007, so yeah, that's 100%.
So they charge
So
the
five,
village, so
right,
they just
just
charge,
quick math,
so
five,
they
yeah.
charge the town
Yeah,
residents,
so
the
it
town
makes
water users 150% more, and then we tack on about 30% because we have administrative costs to run,
So
to
we
administer
tacking on
this
30% of the 150%?
Yes.
over
Well,
150.
do you know that? Do you know
So they're
that
paying-
your rates
Yeah, actually,
are
that, yes.
30%?
Well, that,
Yes.
So town
That's
residents are paying
what
over
the big-
200% then?
discussion was about under Doddenweilen. There was also discussion about why does the town have to pay our employees to collect this money for the village?
Because the
we do.
village, the village can't bill town water and sewer customers for you because they have, when it's uncollectible, they have no mechanism to put it on a tax bill. But in the village, they do. So they can't do it here. Whereas in the town, when you bill for water and sewer and it's uncollectible, it goes on the tax bill and the town collects it.
But that's because it's an expense to the town. So
We do have legitimate expenses in the town for
Right.
taking care of the water system that
Yeah.
We have a whole water department,
Right.
a whole water and sewer
Yeah.
department.
So really, we're paying 200% of the village rate. Our town
Well,
users
our town users are paying.
200%.
Which is why we should be one community. Then everybody who has water, we
which
can
is
pay
why
one
we
rate.
should be buying
So
more
if you swim in
wetlands
the
and.
pool,
Now, this is what really gets me upset, okay?
so the
Wait,
water
wait.
that goes in the pool,
But wait, listen, no, Kevin, no.
We
but
pay
no.
for it.
Kevin, listen to
Are we
this.
paying
Wait,
for it?
Absolutely.
We pay for.
are we really?
No.
We pay, wait,
No.
we
I
pay.
hope not, Gene.
No, not when
But-
they fill it.
But we
No.
do pay for, we pay a water bill for the pool.
You do.
We pay a water bill for the youth center.
You
We
do.
pay a water bill for town hall.
You do.
Community center.
We pay a water bill for the
Community
community center.
So we're paying for 50% of the pool this year, no more. That's it.
I think I have to go back
Just
and
doesn't
change.
seem fair.
Why are you looking at me like I'm the evil demon? Okay, I didn't create
I'm not
this.
looking at
I
you.
just work here.
I'm not looking at you that way.
Okay.
Okay, so.
Just
so-
looking
so-
for affirmation.
So if I
I'm
could
looking
just.
at you because you are helping Susan with the numbers. And you have to know what we're thinking.
So she can tell me?
Okay.
Because I don't
All
know.
right, well, here, I'm gonna tell you what Kevin's thinking. Kevin's in attack mode.
Okay, well, let me just as a quick little aside before we wrap this up, because we are talking the budget and the whatever, and since next 2 days it's finalized, okay, you guys definitely want me to take half of the revenues and half of the cost of Memorial and Pool, put it in, and bring forward a budget that has half of Memorial.
Hand for hand.
Okay, you guys still gonna look at the
And we're
budget
paying
though?
village rates for water for the pool.
Okay, we'll figure that out. Now, just a real quick aside, just so you do know, Gene and I made a decision, but I want to make sure you guys understand it. When it comes to the ambulance, going back and looking at the case law and stuff, and I looking at it, actually, the way the whole formula is it should be, no, I'll make it really quick. It should be in the A fund, okay? But what happens is, let me, the simplest way to say it is technically the town pays if the village were to do a contract with us, we pay 3/4, they pay about 1/4, because you give them credit for the 24% that they pay in the A fund tax rate, and then you subtract the difference between the amount of their usage, and that's what they're getting over and above as enhanced services and stuff. So I can, if you want, and I think right now what Gene and I did was we took 3/4 of the rescue squad budget, put it into the A fund, and we're basically gonna say to the village, we want you to pick up the other half. So that's.
Their quarter.
The other quarter, okay?
Yeah, but
So,
Jeff and I had a meeting with Supervisor Colton, right?
Yeah, John.
John.
For the rescue squad?
John Coutin.
Joe Coutin.
okay.
And we had a very interesting conversation with him about how we should establish what we're budgeting for that item this year. And we should really look into some financial records to see what the need really is, instead of just assuming this number is the
Okay.
number.
So-
But for the purposes of
No,
the
well-
fact that my budget's coming up.
That's
my
But that's okay.
We don't
You know,
get
it would
much of
be
a breakdown
it would be a
in
very
budget.
simple phone call, because they do have a bookkeeper, and just simply see the financial status of
We should ask
the new
for
Paltz
that.
Rescue Squad, because right now we're paying a blind bill.
Yeah,
That's
I will
true.
say, I will say, I just,
Same.
no, but I do know, Kevin, I understand about the billing on the back end.
The
What
reimbursement.
I know, but what I do remember, not the whole entire story, but when my last tour of duty, they did change the reimbursement way back then, and I remember us changing how we billed, the money we gave to the rescue squad we changed based on the fact that there was that reimbursement on the back end.
Right.
And we cut the rescue squad budget down extremely,
And that was
from.
how many years ago?
They
It was-
used a
you're right,
new
it was-
formula.
Yeah.
They did.
Yeah, it was a long time ago, but we did
12
do it.
years ago?
It was 12 years ago, but I can tell you, all I'm just saying is that we already, we should, not to say we should look again, I just want you to know that that was done.
But we don't know what happened in between.
Right, well, we don't know, that's exactly right, we have
Right.
no clue.
But it was set up umpteen years ago.
Yeah.
It was.
Yeah, okay, so I'm just telling you for now, we made a decision, we'll put 3/4 of the current rescue squad budget into it, hold a quarter out for the village, and in the interim, we have time from the tentative budget to the preliminary budget to do more research and see how we want to change that number. Okay, and what else relative to the budget? We talked about the snow stuff last time. Was there any other line? It was very interesting, in researching all this stuff about how we spend, how we build the highway money, whether to the DB, the DA, the snow, the this. I've been doing a lot of research, anything I get my hand on, and I'll Xerox a thing in one of the local government books where it basically says you can, by contract and agreement, build the library, recreation, I think youth, to the village. It has to be an agreement, but we can basically split those costs. So those are conversations. I mean, remember, they used to be split, then the town got them, took them all over.
The town took them all
The
over.
town took over recreation, the town took over the pool, the town took over. Anyway, okay, so are we?
Town paid for Commonwealth Fund,
Well,
for the
I
historic
mean-
preservation, because the village wouldn't.
What's so interesting about all those contracts is it just says the village declines. So, the time may come when the town declines.
The problem is,
The
the problem
time
is,
here.
but the problem is, this is the problem. I don't mind challenging anything, don't get me wrong, I'd love to have the biggest lawsuit in the state of New York. I don't, controversy is more fun than boring meetings, but unfortunately, town law is such, it's the obligation of the town, because the village is a part of the town. So when you
Oh.
pay for certain services, you have
Right.
that obligation to pay. And then.
Right, but the town may decline to fund some of these activities at the level that they've been previously
Absolutely.
funded at.
The
Absolutely.
extreme level.
Absolutely.
yes.
And also, there might be another spike, and, you voted in the last school board election, right?
Sure.
And what machine did you use? Did you use electronic one, or
Oh.
did you
No,
call
I
it
like
vote?
that old machine.
So what I would like to do is,
My problem is this though, Jeff.
I think we should remove,
I have a problem because I hit my head on the top of that curtain.
Okay, anyway.
that we remove.
This thing from the county about what we're paying?
I sent that to.
That we remove the county, we do not pay the county, and we run our own elections. with machines. We own the
$9,000 to pay 2 technicians' salaries and benefits?
I
telling you.
I told you, I
We
voted
have those
against it at the
machines.
county. I voted against it at the county.
Well,
The only
Roseanne
can we
volunteered to roll around in
decline
her
to
car.
participate?
The only problem is, again, like I said to you.
We
that-
own those machines.
I know,
No, we don't.
We own
we do.
our
We
machines.
still do.
Yeah, we do.
We
We
don't
own
own
those
our
machines.
old
I'll
machines?
bet you
Nope.
do.
We never gave them back. We
We
didn't give
didn't,
them back
no,
yet.
we didn't give
No,
them
I
back,
bet you we
but
own them.
I don't think so, because the county, when they took over elections, everything became theirs.
Wait, I got a lawyer here,
But-
became theirs.
I'm just saying,
The process may have become theirs,
Right.
but if we paid for a piece of personal property, it's still ours.
I understand what you're saying, but
Which is
the
why we haven't
the
delivered that
county,
to them.
well, the county is
They
gonna
came
say
and took them,
otherwise.
didn't
No,
they?
we didn't
No,
we didn't
not
let
here.
them. They want to, they keep
They
sending
want
me
it.
letters,
Here,
and I will
because
to give it to them.
The,
And there's other
the
communities.
school still uses them,
Yeah.
Oh,
but the county says that they're theirs.
okay.
Well,
How
they
does the
guarantee
school get away with
Wow.
using them and we
Because,
don't?
because it's not, I guess maybe school districts were left out of HAVA.
Well, I'm just telling you what the Board of
County
Elections said,
tells
because
you.
we had
Well,
pieces,
there
we had
is a
pieces
local-
of the machine that they wanted back, because they said the machines belonged to them.
Tell them
Yeah.
to present you with a bill of sale or something.
Except, you know what, the machines are back here, we have not let them come,
Right.
pick them up.
When they
And we
pay
have not
for
brought
our
them up to them.
machines.
So right now, we are not letting go of our machines.
And Roseanne, just so you know, there is a local community
We'll
that actually
do scrap metal before we.
There's a local community that produced the checks that they actually paid for the machines many, many, many years ago, and I think we probably could go back and produce that same check that we actually purchased those machines.
The only bigger issue is, again, going back to the only problem with it, again, like I told you, I voted against the machines, I voted against that money, Kitty, for those 2 technicians, I voted against that, only
So
wanted
let's
the
not pay it.
legislature. But the only problem is, again, is if we don't use those machines, they could choose not to certify
Right.
our election.
Then
and
they
we
won't, then they can't certify the Board of
Well,
Elections. They can, I
Yeah,
mean,
but you're
they
just
can't
franchising
certify.
everybody who voted.
No, but they can't, well, we're disfranchising everyone in the school at the last school board election.
I would believe, I would,
Then they can disfranchise the last school board elections on legal.
what? What?
No more county taxes.
But don't forget, we get revenue from them, so.
How much revenue?
We get a substantial amount, well, we'll see, some of it's gonna be taken, well, actually, we get a lot of money in sales tax, but that's gonna be taken away. Well, it's gonna get taken away, the sales tax
We're
is
not gonna
getting,
get anything from the county, so we're not gonna give them anything.
All right.
either.
well, okay, well, that's not for tonight's discussion.
Well,
Right now, there's $40,190
We're gonna have to-
in the town budget based on the election. We can always make changes.
All right, what's
well, they
Okay,
want
personnel.
40,000.
$40,190
Worth it.
is in the budget,
Nine.
but we can always make decisions of how we want to do next year's election.
And we have to
Okay.
prioritize.
We'll do all
which
write-ins.
checks we actually write.
We just all do a write-in election. What, Josh?
On those voting machines,
The new ones?
they use some of them just to get rid of parts of them for scrap metal. So in a
Yeah.
worst case scenario.
I just said we'll do
Right.
it for scrap metal, of course.
But in
that's
a
what-
worst case scenario, pay them for scrap metal because it's worth a lot more for
Yeah, I
us
know.
to use
Okay.
it as a machine.
We need to take an action with personnel. Jeff, you
Oh.
gonna,
Oh, okay, we have a resolution, is this
Yeah,
for everybody, or is this?
well, we can. It's public copies, it's a new copy probably, it's, yeah.
No, it's like all just first page.
It's only one page.
Oh, I'm sorry.
This is for Rosanna.
I think we
Do we actually have to mention the name? Can we just mention the position?
Position.
Okay.
I don't think we have to mention the
Okay.
names.
Okay,
Okay.
yeah. So a resolution for the town board of the town of New Paltz, whereas the town of New Paltz currently has the position of custodial worker, custodian and municipal worker 2 in the Department of Buildings and Grounds, and whereas for the purpose of economy and to aid in meeting budget requirements for the current year and future years, the board has determined that the positions of custodial worker, custodian, and municipal, and I'm leaving the name out, and municipal worker 2 will be abolished. Now therefore be resolved by the town board of the town of New Paltz as follows. The town board hereby abolishes in the Department of Buildings and Grounds the position of custodial worker, custodian, and municipal worker 2. And said employees are hereby laid off. And in section 2, this resolution shall take effect immediately dated September 27, 2012.
Is there a second?
Second.
Any discussion?
Well, it's very sad, but this is where the reality begins to set in for an ever-expanding budget.
And again, I do concur, and I think everyone does here, that it is always unfortunate when we have to reduce the budget, and that this reduction was not taken lightly by a single member of this table. And also, this action is also being taken not just for this current budget, it is the future budgets that is affecting. It is not just the salary and hourly wage of these employees, it is the ongoing, ever-increasing expense of benefits and retirement. I think Susan was just notified our retirement is going to be what now?
Over $1 million.
Over $1 million, and we're expecting our medical.
It's gonna be over $1 million, which means, when I said to Jean, that right now I thought we saved X amount of money in the budget if we did all our math right, but I still have to do the revenues to see where we're at. But then today I found out I think that I have to add another $250,000 into retirement.
On top of what we paid,
I think we paid, yeah, maybe total combined was like over $700,000 when you add in the police.
Reimbursement for their losses?
The
state-
police
no,
is
that's-
very high.
The state retirement, this is not for the insurance. Our municipal insurance is going up because of a bunch of car accidents with the police cars and a couple, whatever. But retirement, we spent about $750,000 in retirement, I think, when I was doing all the adding. There's like $400,000 in the police, there's like $200,000 in our employees.
Did they say why it's increasing? Did they say is it because we're adding additional people to the system? Or is it because they've suffered losses in the retirement
No,
fund? that we're
they're
trying
not
to-
charging. Did you
No,
get
no.
the schedule?
What, no, I have to get it
Because
from.
it can be calculated.
No, I understand that, but
Okay.
the reason why the state retirement is going up is not because we have all these people retiring or whatever, it's because, like you said.
It's
you
the
get
cost of the retirement
18%
system.
increase in the retirement system
If.
is a planning,
Right.
like a planning number.
But
Did they
it's-
give you
And so this is higher than
reason for that?
18%.
I'm looking at Susan.
Okay.
They
I
give you a
don't-
reason.
They give you a worksheet And so 18% is the cap. The state won't go above
I
18.
just want an explanation from them about why it's increasing, that's all.
Okay, well, call Tom.
Do they give
Come
you
to
that, or
that
they just send you the bill?
They send you a worksheet and they tell you the percentage increase, okay?
But they don't explain why.
No, they
the
do
cap
not.
increased.
I mean,
But if you get your emails
Funding
from
of the
Napoli,
retirement
if you
system.
get your emails from Napoli, he'll explain it. So when I get my emails all the time, and when I read it,
Oh, maybe it's
I'll
in
let you
there.
know.
there was an article in Town and Topics recently just about the fact that our retirees live longer, and there are more of them, and we have generous packages that allow them to retire in some cases after 20 years, right?
And there's no mechanism right now at the state for the local municipalities to buy themselves out of this ongoing liability, correct?
No.
I thought you had a plan for us to do that.
That's what I'd like to see done.
Okay.
I don't think you could ever afford to
I
fund
think
that.
it'd be cheaper.
We can't even buy ourselves out of the county workers' comp.
Right, you can't afford to do that, and I don't think you'd ever
I
be
don't know
allowed
if
to
you
get
could-
out of the state
Yeah, I
retirement.
think there would be a lot of, so anyway,
Well,
the point is,
the
there's
fact
2
that-
points
The
that.
point is, our state retirement's going up $300,000, that's equivalent to probably the youth center and our rec budget combined, and, if you keep going at this rate with, the status
Oh.
quo of your employees, and then more people retire.
Our budget.
Yeah.
That's another discussion, which is going to be painful, but we have talked for years about the youth center becoming a not-for-profit. And we can contract with agencies, as we do with family, so that we can set aside a certain amount of our budget for a not-for-profit that provides a service and a benefit for the town. And I think that perhaps this will be the last year that we fully fund the youth center and give them a year to become a nonprofit. And I mean, I would certainly want to continue to put them in the budget as a contract agency, but I just don't think this is sustainable.
Okay, so let's just, we do have a motion and a second on the floor, so let's just take action to close up this
Right.
piece of business. So all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay, aye with regret. And then when we go through the budget process, we can start to make, as we go through the budget, one of the things I'm going to try to do after I do the budget, but as we're going through it, I'm going to do an analysis for everybody to see, like, so if you take all the retirees that are police officers, all the retirees that are town employees, through town hall, the recreation, try to sort of like highway, give you a true sense of what the true burden of each department is, the money that we're carrying, so people can really understand. And then show how the impact of retirement and workers' comp, because people really need to understand.
It's right
that-
here in our warrant every month. I
Yeah,
mean,
but the
it's
public doesn't, the
shocking.
public doesn't.
We should probably
You do your best.
talk about some of
to
these.
conserve locally, okay, and cut little programs that we have for our community to try to bring your budget in, and then the state says, oh, here's another 6 or 10%. You gotta
Right.
pay us.
But see, this
So
is all another thing,
it's
is what's happening is right now is towns are gonna are being forced, and school districts, they're being forced to cut programs, cut police on the street, cut youth programs, cut recreation programs, cut senior programs, so we can just afford to pay our retirees, our workers' comp, and our health insurance. For the few employees that we're allowed to, that we can
That is
cover,
still
because we're cutting the employees, and then we're paying, like the workers' comp for and the retirement, and the this and the that. So we're paying more money for employees that don't work here anymore than the employees that work here. And then we're cutting programs because we can't afford it, because we're carrying everybody who's retired and living in Florida. And then the state keeps pushing it back down to us, and we keep cutting programs.
Find MVP
Pushing
in
down
here.
the cost to us.
Yeah, it's great.
All their
So just
inefficiencies
for
push down to us.
NISHIP last month was
Which is in health insurance.
$77,000.
Well,
Just per month.
Per month,
month, but
exactly.
that's only one health insurance.
I agree,
Right,
but
I can't even
when
find
you
MVP in
look
here, but-
at the cost, and we did this in our subcommittee,
Mhm.
the family plan for MVP is $1,900. Nobody out in the private sector that has a family plan
Right.
is paying $1,900
Right.
because they can't afford it.
Right.
So they come up with a plan they can afford. It's somewhere between $1,000 and $1,300 because they have a higher deductible. But no, the town has to pay $1,900. So our committee is recommending every year we're gonna establish a subcommittee where they get 2 proactive healthcare provider brokers that will provide us with different alternatives. It's just not, you just can't redo every
Right.
year to the same level.
Well, you're gonna have to redo union contracts then, because the contracts are probably where it states
Which is why Jean,
MVP
And the
not
employee.
which is why Jean
Right.
suggested that I might want to ask Kevin to be on the negotiating committee for the union contracts.
Can't wait, because it's all gonna be zero.
Okay, well, I'm not gonna be across the table from you because I can't take the looks anymore.
That's why we
Can't
have you
find
sitting on the
MVP
same
in
side, Gene. There's a reason why you're on the same side of the
Okay.
table during
Okay.
these negotiations.
So anyway,
All right,
But
can
I
we,
wanna say, you know, it's a shame it has to be zero.
Yeah.
it's horrible.
I mean, it really is a shame.
Oh,
Okay,
look,
so
look where
can
we
we
have
use
to
free
cut.
Yeah.
All of the social programs in our town, all the things that, when our residents say, what do I get for living in this town? Well, I get some ball fields, I get a swimming pool, I get some recreation, and I get a library. I mean, the things that make our community feel like a good place to live are the things we can't
I would
afford, and
really-
the only things we can cut.
I'd like somebody to research on what basis individuals are responsible for funding these losses that are generated at the state, county, and federal government. What document did we ever sign promising to pay that?
Oh, I'll tell you, it's called a tax incentive. You know, GE got, oh, don't get me started. GE not only did not pay taxes for the last 5 years, they got a tax credit.
Okay, so why don't we pass a local law and tax them?
Okay,
I want to see somebody research that.
Well, I can't, I mean,
I will,
I will just tell you-
I will send you more emails than you've
I
ever
will just tell
dreamed
you really
of.
quickly before we move on to some other things, I did get from the assessor, as we're doing the taxes, the value of the town, so we can figure out the tax rate. But just very interesting, the taxable value of this town is 1.189632257, 1,189,000,000. Wholly exempt, 547,192,905. 547 million of a tax, total assessed value of this town is wholly exempt. That's 46%, that's
Well,
what the tax law is.
I've started a
46%.
little map over here to be looking behind you. See the map?
But
I've
it doesn't
started
mean,
color coding.
it doesn't mean it's 46% of the value, though. It's 46.
Total assessed value, 46% of, off the
Oh, it
tax
is
rolls
total value.
of wholly exempt, and forget about, that's not even calculating all the partially exempts of everything.
All the color
Yeah,
on
yeah.
that map, all
I
the
just got it
colors
today. And
are
I went through,
exempt.
I went through all this stuff, and I got to that point that I
Or
was like,
partially
let me
exempt.
do the math. Yeah. So the 40%, 46% is wholly off the tax rolls, the other 50,
Romney was right.
Right. What?
about the fact
The
that
47% that don't pay taxes.
He was right.
Romney was right, come to New Paltz. Okay, so, and I we don't have to do it now, but also in the budget for the court is about $2,500 for security doors and stuff. I'm taking it out of the budget for next year. I think, you know, we don't have to do it tonight. We do have two different they did go out to, you know,
okay, so who's the lowest bid?
the lowest bid.
Tell them to do it,
Okay,
after
why don't you
we
look
authorize it.
They can't wait.
Let me
I mean, if they
see.
need a security door, they need a
They
security door
can't
now.
wait.
They can't
They
wait
need a
until. I
security
hate spending
door.
any money on that building, but they need a security door. The women are, you know, whatever, so
All right, MCB security,
I think it's Liberty is the one that was the lowest one, and that's the one they want.
$1,981.
Right. and Liberty-
Regular Liberty security. Wait, oh, wait, should take no longer than 1 to 2 days. $2,295.
Yeah, but the thing is, they say, please review the enclosed estimates for security system for the Corps. We received the best response from Liberty Security. They are prompt to return our calls and have come across very friendly and knowledgeable. As you can see, the estimate from MCB Security is old. Mr. Green has been
it's-
very,
It's,
yeah, that's from 2011.
It's a
Mr.
year
Green
and a
has been
half
very
old.
difficult to get a hold of, and the last I talked to him, it sounded like his
Oh.
estimated amounts, blah, blah, blah. Please let me know if you have any questions.
Okay, so we have Safeco Alarm Systems for $4,995 and Liberty Security Services for $2,295. I would like to make a motion authorizing the Justice Court to move forward with the estimate in the amount of $2,295 with Liberty Security Services for their security system for the court.
I'll second it for purposes of discussion.
Can I see it?
They have been really concerned about the fact. So what ended up happening, just so you do know, Kitty, that when the police were in the building, they had a button upstairs that, you know, if there was anything with the port that, you know, whatever, they could push the button and the police would come right away. Now that the police are out of the building, they moved that downstairs. There's problems with the doors. They have people inside the building that, you know, creates certain problems and stuff. So they've gotten very nervous about security in that building.
Okay.
I hate spending any money on that building because we should just get out, but they still.
I did
They
too,
need-
but
The little patchwork jobs that are being done there.
Uh-huh. So I hate the fact of spending even any kind of money, but at the end of the day, as long
I
as they're
would
there,
agree,
they need to be
but-
safe.
right, they need to be safe and,
So we'll take the door with us when we
Right.
move into
that's
our new.
right, that's right, Kitty. And if we have to, we'll sell it for scrap.
There you
Do you want
go.
to, do you want to, for the purposes, I don't see money in building and grounds with money in the Justice Corp, but why don't we take it out of building and grounds' budget for now, or the Justice Corp budget, because we're now starting to make sure we allocate to the right. Okay, take it out of the Justice
Yeah.
Corp budget, and if we have to move money, we'll do it later. Okay? So all in favor?
Aye.
Motion so
Aye.
carried. So,
Aye.
do I have a motion to?
I'd like to make a motion authorizing the prepayment
We have one prepayment.
to Stryker Electric for $1,700 for the work at the recycle, to start, for the deposit.
Second.
And then can we just ask, is the work, they're ready to start the work and everything?
Yeah, they're actually done.
The work is done.
Oh, it's over, oh, it's all.
And the balance
Okay.
will be in the next warrant.
Okay.
Okay,
So
so,
the trench
all in
is
favor?
covered and inspected.
Do I have a second?
Yeah,
Yeah,
Kevin
Kevin.
Oh,
seconded
Kevin is
an hour ago.
Aye.
Discuss.
Aye.
Motion to
I would
carry.
like to make a motion to adjourn.
Second.
What?
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Motion so carried.
Look at that, 10,
So do we get an hour credit on our team?
wow.
No, I don't want you to have Butch come.
No. The meeting from the 11th.
Oh, if you want to pull Butch, yeah. Go.
The 10th, oh, you know what I didn't tell you guys?